Yo, what's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Become a member of the channel to access more content, the link is in the description. 6LA Chapter 166 Masada's Training. Finally, in the surprised eyes of Mrs. Aizawa, Masada went to the side to study how to better develop his quirk. Tiger didn't mean to stop him at all, he didn't want to be punched again. In order to prevent herself from causing forest fires, Masada also specifically sought North American shorthair cats to help her to make a large open space. The other party also agreed to it simply, but she was very optimistic about Masada's future. After that, Masada went to train alone. The sky gradually dimmed, and only the last afterglow of the sun remained, illuminating this land. The Class A and B classmates finally ended their hard day in the whistle of Mr. Aizawa and Mr. Brad. At this time, they are already exhausted, and for the first time since they were born, they have used such violent quirk, so that they have a good experience of what is called physical and mental exhaustion. Suddenly, there was a loud noise inside the forest. Then, the dazzling red light enveloped everyone. Then, a bright red giant stood up from the forest. This giant was like a newborn baby. I have a fresh feeling for everything, constantly waving my hands and feet. However, in the eyes of the giant, 353 may be just an ordinary action, but it is different in the eyes of the students. In an instant, the earth shook, and all the birds fled out of the forest in a panic. For a while, the originally quiet forest turned out to be lively. This smell of sulfur, Kirishima sniffed and said uncertainly. The rest of the students also found a strange smell in the air. Not only that, but also a heat wave spreading over the surface, making people feel like they are in the stove, and even the skin will be dry and cracked. Fortunately, the giant disappeared after 3 minutes of existence, as if it was just a phantom that appeared there before, but looking at the scorched grass on the ground and the pungent smell in the air, everyone knew that this was not an illusion. This must be made by Masada. Mineta yelled from the side that the sphere on his head was completely gone. I'm afraid it won't grow until tomorrow. Now his head is smooth and he looks very happy. Upon seeing this scene, he squeezed his fist secretly. While he was still worrying about the control of his power, has Masada completed such a huge breakthrough without a word? He printed CDEI like the red giant just now. But I have never seen Masada use it. Yo, everyone, how are you guys? It didn't take long for Masada to get out of the woods and waved at everyone with a happy face. She didn't look tired at all. People are more popular than people. Why are you looking so relaxed, Masada? When Kaminari saw Masada's leisurely appearance, he let out an unwilling roar, but he persisted for the whole afternoon with the whole body electrified. It can be said that it is good not to become an idiot. Ignoring Kaminari, Masada's strength is not caused by the strong wind. Although his hidden quirk has played a great role, it is also because he has gradually strengthened his body during countless days of unremitting exercise. It is just these hardships. Not many people know it. It seems that everyone is in good spirits. Come, get enough food and clothing by yourself, it's not too early, so hurry up and cook. At this time, the puppet cat and North American shorthair cat came out of the house, holding a lot of ingredients in their arms and placed them in front of everyone. No one is in good spirits except that guy. Class A and Class B sighed at the same time, and Masada even saw some people's bodies turned gray. After a day of training, the exhausted people now just want to eat a good meal, and then lie in bed after taking a bath. They didn't expect that even this wish could not be achieved. You can't say that, this is also a part of training. There are no special chefs here, and Mandalay cats usually cook them by themselves. There are so many people today that it is impossible to cope with it, so I just found an excuse. It makes sense. In the event of a disaster, helping the exhausted people in the shelter to fill their stomachs and hearts is also part of the rescue. When Iida pondered the North American shorthair cat, a white light flashed through the lens mountain, as if he had discovered some secret, with a look of excitement on his face. It's really shongiying. Every detail has its meaning. Let's make the best dinner. Looking at the inexplicably burning Iida, Aizawa Shota had only one sentence in her heart at this time. Iida, it's so easy to use. Then what are we going to do? Looking at the abundance of ingredients in front of him, Jung was a little stunned. His best cooking method should be roasting, but obviously the ingredients here are not suitable for barbecue at all. How about let's make curry? After a tiring training, a bowl of hot curry is simply amazing. Chef Yi Yin was also excited at this time, leaving the exhaustion behind her head. This is an area that she is very good at. Then curry. Yeah, it looks pretty good. The other girls also agreed with Yi Yin's suggestion, but they didn't forget Yi Yin's dishes. Soon, under the command of Chef Yi Yin, everyone started to work in an orderly manner. Among them, Masada and Hong were specially used to set fires, which made the two of them very embarrassed for a while. Unexpectedly, Bakugo, your knife skills are very good. After raising the temperature of his hands and lighting a firewood in a stove, Ciro's laughter came. Shut up. Do you want to become this radish on the cutting board and be chopped by me? Ah. Although Bakugo has a bad temper, the popularity in the class is still very good. Although the boys in Class A have constant internal conflicts and competition, they are generally very united. By the way, can you still eat it? Standing up, Masada looked at Yaoyorozu who was putting spices in a large pot of curry, and asked in shock. Masada has seen Yaoyorozu's 100 training scenes. Because quirk consumes fat, she can only stuff food into her mouth frantically to improve the efficiency of food conversion. The scene is really miserable. Of course I can eat it. The fat stored in the afternoon has been used up, and now my stomach is very empty. And this is not training, but simply to enjoy the food. Yaoyorozu pretended to be a teacher, and spoke plausibly to Masato. Sure enough, no girl could resist the temptation of food, even the daughter Yaoyorozu could not be spared. Moreover, she can eat and drink at will and is not afraid of gaining weight, and will never lose shape. Regarding this, Masato can only say, marvelous. Chapter 167 Classmate Igarashi is a role model. The white moonlight dyed the forest with a layer of silver, and the wind blowing from time to time across the tree canopy brought the sound of rustling. Just as everyone was going on a carnival, there was a dense forest in this place, and on a mountain where you could see the place of accommodation. It hurts, my whole body hurts. Let's go. A tall man who was covered in a wide hooded robe stood on the mountain and whispered. It's still early, right? And, hasn't it been said above, can't it be too exaggerated? Isn't it, Too-kun? There were 6 other people beside him, one of whom was wearing a junior high school uniform, and a young man with a full-cover gas mask on his head said helplessly. That's right, don't worry. This time it's just wolf smoke. The head of the 7 is a man named Dakin. He has black, broken hair, and his whole body is covered with burnt marks. Even his face is no exception. The flesh on his body is stitched with something like steel wire. Getting up, matched with his slender body, makes people chill. Among these people, the only girl, wearing JK's uniform, carrying a backpack with a syringe on her back, was very excited at this time, and her face even showed a flush of flushing. Masato, when can I see Masato? I can't wait. I'm going to follow you just because I want to see him come over. I've said it, it's not the time yet. Shut up for me. This JK girl is the same high school student I met in the amusement park last time. And this time, Igarashi is also our main goal, so go and reunite with him then. In the face of Himiko Toga, Dakin scolded her without hesitation. Obviously, this situation is not once or twice. In other words, is that Igarashi Masato really that powerful? Worth us being so careful? The junior high school student wearing a gas mask asked half-heartedly, even if you are a student of Shongying, you are only a freshman in high school anyway, where can you go so good? The police glanced at the junior high school student, as if mocking his ignorance. Dakin said leisurely, as far as my source knows, the hero's killer was defeated by Masato Igarashi alone, and he died. Nomu, who is on the side, can't get any benefits under his hands. If you think his strength is very average, I will let you and him one-on-one. Call. Hearing this, the junior high school student stopped talking. He is an admirer of Hero's killer belief, but he doesn't think he can defeat Stain. That's right, Masato defeated Stain, so he is my favorite person now, and Masato's red body is so cute. Hearing Chakan's words, Himiko Toga became excited again, dreaming about the picture constantly in his mind, and even drooling from the corners of his mouth. This ST is out of help. Seeing her like this, the other 6 people were very helpless. If it weren't for the death wood to let them take Himiko Toga, they would never let her follow her, and then they can't tell which side she is. People, for Igarashi, you don't have to worry too much. Shigarashi sent a new type of Nomu to deal with him. That Nomu is terrible to me, and I heard that this Nomu has performed a special. I believe it will be enough to cope with Igarashi. While speaking, Shijingmu looked into the distance, and that direction was the place where everyone lived together. Small gangsters are useless at all and will only increase the risk of the mission, so we still have to wait patiently and wait until all the forces are in place and act. Looking at the lights revealed in the campsite and the faint laughter, Too-kun showed a sarcastic smile. Van and decadent hero S for a glorious future, fall. During the day on the 3rd day, the students were still immersed in the training on improving the quirk. Masato was no exception. He developed his own new moves in his own training venue, and made huge movements at every turn to make other students daring, trembling. U5, cheer up. Seeing Kirishima, Shiro, Ashido, Sato, and Kaminari who were wilting, Aizawa-sensei urges them. For flowers. Yes, sorry, I'm just a little sleepy. The 5 of them had extra tuition last night because they were unqualified. They didn't fall asleep until 2 o'clock in the morning, so now they only feel groggy in their heads. Hearing a few listless words, Aizawa-sensei's face became terrified, and his tone increased. Your fighting ability in the final exams is too weak. That's why you are tired now than others. Give me a good memory. Live. The loud scolding immediately made the surrounding students sneak in, and Mr. Aizawa also turned his head sharply, frightening them to train obediently. No matter what you do, you must keep in mind the original point in your heart, so that you can make progress. You must always think about why you were sweating and why you were being reprimanded by the teacher. Feeling that his tone of voice seemed to be overdone, Mr. Aizawa suddenly calmed down again and comforted the classmates in front of him. You have to learn from classmate Igarashi on this point. Although he has always been very distracted, he has never slackened in his training. Pointing to the magma giant who did not know how many times he appeared in the forest, Aizawa-sensei calmly said, his strength is obvious to all. Many professions heroes do not have his current strength, but he still maintains a correct attitude. My own high-demand training keeps honing my own strength. It depends on his inner origin, think about it. Unknowingly, the day's training was over again. Like yesterday, everyone was preparing dinner by themselves, performing their duties and being organized. Everyone will hurry up and eat. After eating, we are going to hold a Gaul test meeting. While cooking, the North American Shorthair gave out a news that made everyone excited. The bravery test in the summer night can be said to be a traditional event in Japan. The feeling of staying together is here. I can finally rest. The carnival of the dark night. The classmates became excited in an instant, but in a dark corner that they couldn't see, another group of people were also moving quietly for a long time. Chapter 168 Test Galleries. This courage test competition is a confrontation between classes, that is to say, it is divided into two games. First, Class B is responsible for scaring people, Class A enters the forest to explore, and then exchanges. Because I was looking forward to the courage test after dinner, everyone speeded up their actions. Chef Yi Yin was in charge of all the dishes in Class A. At this time, everyone was surrounded by people, like a group of chicks waiting to be fed. Hey, wait a minute, don't be scared to pee on your pants. Kaminari was holding a bowl of food, poking at the grapes, and Coconut teasingly. In the Forest of Warcraft before, the scared grape peeing on his pants has become a stain in his life. Kaminari, his best friend and damaging friend, naturally will not give up this opportunity to laugh at him. Shut up, people in Class B will not be afraid or even laugh when they see your idiot. 357. The grape that was poked into the painful spot was also a merciless counterattack. After Kaminari over-discharged, becoming an idiot was also a joke of the classmates. LVGU, you are going to deliver food again. At this time, Masato saw Lubu walking into the forest with an insulation box, and guessed what he wanted to do. During the meal yesterday, Lubu saw that Guangtai refused to eat with everyone, so he sent food to him. It seems the same situation today. Well, I am a little worried about him. Hearing Masato's words, Lubu showed a worried expression. Last night, he talked with Yutai. After learning about Yutai's past, he felt that he and Guangtai had many similarities, so I wanted to help him do it. Something. Hearing this, Jung nodded too much and didn't take care of it. Some things cannot be explained by words, but must be proved by actions, but since Lubu has this mind, then let him go. Try the courage meeting time. Soon, everyone who filled their stomachs came to the venue with excitement, and they kept discussing the main event that was going to be played next. How can we scare people? Is it possible to wear that weird costume? Yaoyorozu asked with some doubts. In his impression, it seemed that the courage test meeting was scared by scary clothes, but the classmates here are not ordinary people, and it is impossible to be scared by such low-level things. With the rules, the scary party can't directly contact the other party, and show the scary moves you created with the quirk to your heart's content. The North American Shorthair cat heard the questions from the classmates and explained, the class that makes more people pee on their pants with subtle ideas is the winner. That's it, do you use quirk? It seems very interesting. Setro's face is full of eager expressions. He has already thought of a good idea. Using his own tape to dress up as a hanged ghost or a mummy seems to be a good choice. At this time, let us have a spark of inspiration in the competition. So we can develop a more innovative way of using quirk. It is really shongiying. Iida once again deeply interpreted the rules of the game, with 2 lines of tears dripping on his face, clenched his fists and shouted, unexpectedly, this is also a part of training. In this regard, the students who were already familiar with it all took a few steps to the side and pretended not to know him. Then what are you waiting for? Let's get started. Kirishima has rolled up his sleeves, and he has decided to wait until he shows his masculinity in the forest. Well, even though I feel a little intolerable, but a tutoring student. Aizawa-sensei suddenly emerged from the side at this time, looked at the excited Kirishima and Ishido, and said blankly. Next, follow me back to the tuition course. That's right, it's 5 of you. No, spare me today, I will definitely double my training tomorrow. The excitement of the 5-member group collapsed in an instant, and Aizawa teacher surrounded him and kept begging. However, the hard-hearted teacher Shangzi ignored them at all, and directly tied them up with his own bandage and dragged them into the classroom. Looking at Kaminari with too much sympathy, he was crazy about taunting grapes before, but now he can't participate anymore, he must be broken inside. Ha 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 ha, Kaminari, you kid, just take care of your homework. I will share wonderful stories with you when I come back tonight. Sure enough, Grape was now looking like a villain, and smiled at Kaminari with his waist inserted. This time the courage test conference was a group of 2, and after the 5 people who were in the class A were removed, there were 15 people, so that means that one person will be separated separately. In the end, everyone decided to use a lottery to decide. Grouping. Masato looked at the lonely label in her hand, a little bit eager to cry without tears. Originally, I was thinking of grouping with Yaoyorozu 100 or Cha-Cha, and then some beautiful things would happen in a horrible atmosphere. Now it seems that it is totally impossible, and by coincidence, Yaoyorozu and Cha-Cha also happened to be in a group, which made Masato useless even if he wanted to change it. It's also funny, Bakugo and Bakugo are very destined to be in the same group. This makes Bakugo's expression as disgusting as eating bugs. In the class, the third thing he can't understand is Bakugo. Soon, the courage test conference officially began. Everyone entered in groups to enter from the entrance. In contrast, the Class B students had already been arranged in the forest. As time went on, the screams continued to be heard in the forest, which made the hearts of the students who had not entered the forest a little nervous. From these screams, it is obvious that Class B has done a lot of work, otherwise it would not be possible to make Class A with a strong psychological quality so gloomy. Masato was in the fourth group, so it didn't take long for him to step into the forest alone. The sky was completely dark, and the dense tree canopy completely blocked the moonlight. For 4.8 weeks, it can be said that you can't see your fingers. Only some mottled light came down from the cracks in the leaves. All around is quiet, only the sound of insects in the vault room, but there seems to be something lurking in the darkness, ready to move. Suddenly, Masato only felt that the soles of her feet were soft, and her feet seemed to sink into the mud. I looked down, and in front of my feet, there was a human face. This face was completely embedded in the ground, and her long black hair covered her eyes, but looking at the curvature of the corner of the mouth, it clearly revealed a gloomy expression, and the sound of teeth fighting from time to time was chilling. What the hell? Unexplainably Masato. At this moment, she only felt uncomfortable on her feet, so she supported the ground with both hands and jumped directly out of the mud. Chapter 169 Warm Bodies. In other words, you are here to scare people, right? The visual effects are not bad, but if you add a little scary sound effect, maybe the effect will be better. The situation in front of him was already very obvious. It was clearly the ghost of Class B. No wonder other people were screamed again and again, and even the big-hearted wife was taken aback. It's so boring to shout, it's the same as Bakugo and Boom who came before. Seeing that it didn't scare people, a figure walked out of the woods. It was Junta's acquaintance, Kondo Kazuka. That's right, the performance of those two people is really too funny. It turned out to be a facial expression of hello, which made me almost unable to maintain quirk. Gujin Ruzao also floated out of the ground with shout away. His quirk can turn the area where he stands on his feet into mud, and make the people and things on it sink. This is also their scary core method. NS. By the way, don't you think there is a faint smell around you? Just start from just now. Gujin Ruzao shrugged his nose, felt a strange smell, and asked his companion curiously. That said, it seems that there is indeed some smoke that has reached your feet. Masato didn't feel any weird before, but when listening to Gujin, he saw a faint purple smoke coming from his feet, and it was still thickening at a speed visible to the naked eye. Maybe someone used quirk, or is it? Gujin had just spoken, but suddenly felt a faint, then his head sank and fell down. It's weird, the smoke is poisonous. Seeing the sudden situation, he picked up the bones too quickly, and then evacuated to a place far away from the smoke, fisting Vine. Hurry up, keep up, someone is doing a ghost in the forest. Kento's reaction was also very fast. He immediately enlarged his hand, grabbed the Sanwu girl shout away who hadn't reacted yet, and ran over with Masato. At this time, billowing black smoke appeared in another part of the forest. The dark blue fire engulfed the forest, and Masato and the others became brighter. Kentang, your class has someone in the quirk, is this strange flame and smoke? Masato, who didn't know much about Class B, asked Kento aloud, and he had a bad idea in his heart. No, Kento also gave an affirmative answer, which made Masato's heart sink directly. It looks like I was attacked. Bye, Cha-Cha, and everyone, don't have any trouble. Very anxious in his heart, Masato threw the bones on his shoulders to Kento. You take them back to the dormitory quickly, I'll go and see what happened. After finishing speaking, without waiting for the fist cane to speak, Masato's legs turned into magma, and the rolling magma gushed out of her body and flew into the sky with Masato. Without the shelter of the woods, the field of vision suddenly became wider, and Masato was floating in the air with the thrust of magma, looking down. At this time, two areas of the forest are particularly obvious. One is the place where Masato was before, completely covered by purple smoke, while the other part is now constantly burning in the blue sea of fire. According to our route, there should be no students in the burning part and the route does not pass through that area, but it is hard to say in the poisonous gas. Baihei Cha-Cha is in my previous group, and it should be in it now. Analyzing in his mind, Masato looked at the poisonous vortex below, and felt a little clear in his heart. This poison gas is a bit like a whirlwind. It's constantly rotating around the center. Is there something like the eye of a typhoon? It is not clear how many villains have invaded, but this poison gas must be eliminated first. The threat is too great. Remembering that Gujin just inhaled a few breaths of poison gas, he fainted. Masato made a decision in his heart. But according to Hundred's ability, it should be possible to make a gas mask for a period of time, right? I was too worried just now. Yaoyorozubai and Cha-Cha are not weak women. I believe that even if they encounter villains, they can deal with each other for a while, and that time is enough to find out and rush to support. Then the comet hits. No longer hesitating, Masato's hand directly condensed a magma ball with a diameter of 5 meters, and it threw it toward the center of the smoke, and then the black smoke surged under her feet, and it flew quickly in that direction. Past. Boom. Quote. The huge magma ball smashed to the ground and made a huge noise, which shocked everyone. It's Masato. At this time, Yaoyorozu Baihei Cha-Cha happened to meet Kento and others who were rushing back, and just as Masato thought, the first time when the smoke was discovered, Yaoyorozu Bai was very vigilant and made a lot of gas masks. At this time, it came in handy. It's really messy. Using quirk like this is definitely going to be scolded again. It was not once or twice that Junta acted like cutting first and playing later, and she was completely unburdened in her heart, but it was the first time Kento saw it, and she couldn't help but feel a little worried. Don't worry, he dared to mess around naturally has his reason. We hurried back to the dormitory to inform the teacher. For Yaoyorozu, who is extremely trusted by Masato, it is very sensible. This is not the time to perform hero-s. It is the most important thing they need to do at this time to report the situation in the forest to Mr. Aizawa. Otherwise, if it is not villain SS opponent, then 357 becomes a burden. At this time, Masada also came to the top of the poisonous gas center, took a big breath, then sealed her mouth and nose with magma, and fell from the sky. The magma ball just now smashed a big hole on the ground, and on the edge of the hole, a boy wearing a middle school uniform and a poison gas mask was constantly panting on the edge. One of the people, are you Igarashi Masada? The strength is really terrifying. Masada was standing opposite him now, looking at the weird dress of this junior high school student, and she wanted to laugh a little. However, in the eyes of the poisonous man, this is a performance that can't hold his breath, but it is a pity. If you have been attacking me in the sky, there may be a chance of victory, but I ran to my home court. Then I will say sorry to you. He took out a jet black pistol from his uniform, opened the latch and aimed it at Masada. No matter how good your quirk is, it's just a human being of flesh and blood. Boom. The huge gunfire was clearly audible in the forest, and the other students who escaped trial in the forest also looked worriedly at the place where the gunfire sounded. As this gas man said, even if their quirk's destructive power is strong, they still have to lie down in the face of real guns and live ammunition. Chapter 170 Pig Teammate. With blue smoke coming out of the muzzle, the poisonous man made a gun action that he thought was very cool. Unfortunately, he was wearing a gas mask on his head and could not blow into the muzzle like a Western cowboy. How is it, Shongying's top student? You will be hero S in the future, right? This is really funny in my eyes. Single-cell idiots like you, who can't see the enemy in us at all, can only rampage, and a society that can be sought after with a high degree of education is definitely wrong. It's a pity that you were killed so easily. Didn't you go to a prestigious school? Aren't you an elite? Then why don't you use your brain? Said Bingmu even treats you as a great enemy, and Shabby wants us to deal with it carefully. It makes people laugh out loud. However, if the society knows that it is me who killed you, the star of tomorrow, then I will definitely gain a huge reputation. This is the only value you have left. The poisonous man who was caught in his own brain replenishment didn't realize that Masada who was hit by his bullet had a strange smile on his face. Aiming at a bullet that hits like this, how could Junta be hit? The magma, which is countless times more viscous than water, easily blocked the bullet, a hot weapon that is invincible in the eyes of the poisonous man, and it can't even penetrate the body of Masada. I've been talking to myself since the beginning, is this person an idiot? The same virtue as Kaminari. No, even Kaminari can't compare to him. The above is Masada's inner thoughts now. I didn't want to breathe in these poisonous gases, and didn't want to waste physical energy. The whole body was elementalized. Jung was too directly holding his breath and strode forward. In the eyes of the poisonous man who couldn't believe it, a simple and rude punch hit his head. Boom. In front of Masada's iron fist, the gas mask was even more vulnerable to a blow, and it shattered directly, and then the momentum of the fist was not reduced, and the poisonous man's face was dented, and the huge impact smashed him. Think about it on the ground. Although quirk is very powerful, it seems that the poisonous man, who has a poor physical fitness, rolled his eyes without resisting at all and fainted. Shout. It turned out to be just a kid. Quote. After the poisonous man fainted, the poisonous gas around him quickly dissipated. Looking at his young face, Jung Tu wiped the blood from his fist, and said with disdain, no wonder there was a lot of nonsense, is this the so-called spiritual victory method? But he just mentioned the dead tree. Sure enough, this attack was the ghost of the League of Villains. There is another person named Shabby. He should be the leader in this operation, right? The pig teammates may have said that they were born in this middle school. Not only did the mission not complete, they also leaked a lot of their own information, which also provided direction for Masada's future actions. Anyway, let's take a look at the dormitory. If you count the time, they should be back to the camp soon. Still a little uneasy, the Masada decided to return first, and then go to the forest to find another villains. The poisonous man just now also said that he has more than one accomplice. Just when Masada entered the forest, Mr. Aizawa also returned to the classroom with a group of 5 making up classes. I said it's too unscientific. As a dragon and phoenix, there are 5 people in Class A who have failed to take courses. Wu Jianren, who was already sitting in the classroom, had a terrifying smile on his face, mocking Kirishima who was opening the door. Even only one person in Class B has dropped off a subject. This is too unscientific. There are black lines on the faces of all 5 people. Is this person a self-destructed truck? Change the limit. The only person in Class B that he said is himself. Mr. Brad and Mr. Aizawa discussed and planned to add actual combat exercises in this class. Because the 6 people present did not pass the actual combat assessment, this link is particularly important. However, a voice suddenly remembered in everyone's hearts. Everyone. 2 villains were found to be attacking. It is very likely that there are other villains. Please return to the camp immediately if you can move. Villains can't face the battle either, immediately try to retreat. This is the quirk of the Mandalay cat. Telepathy. To be honest, Masada really likes this feeling of glaring in his heart, but he can only listen and cannot answer, which still makes him a little bit troubled. At this time, Masada has already solved the poisonous man. On the way back quickly, he heard the voice of the Mandalay cat, and her heart became even more irritable. Although she knew that there were more than one villains, this unknown sense of crisis still made him feeling uncomfortable. I'm not allowed to challenge. Did I foul it just now? I don't want these things. If villains are of the same level as just now, it's not worth mentioning. Quickened his pace and ran towards the bright place too. And when Mr. Aizawa heard that there was an enemy attack, the whole person became nervous. Brad, leave it to you here, I will protect the students outside. Opening the door of the classroom, Mr. Aizawa rushed out quickly. After that, what he saw was the scene of the blue men raging in the forest. It's a terrible thing now. Didn't you say that you will definitely not be found by villains? In order to maintain the concealment of this stay, there are only 2 teachers in the same class, and they can't protect so many students at all. Mr. Aizawa's mood now is extremely bad. Worried about students so soon. Eraser. Behind him, a snorting voice suddenly came, and it was Cha-kun who was covered with burn marks. With one hand open, he pointed the palm of the burning blue flame at the Aizawa-sensei who turned his back to him, and Cha-kun grinned open the corner of his mouth. Don't get in the way, professional hero. We didn't come for you today. Bear, column. A monstrous blue flame poured out from the palm of his hand. No matter the scale of the flame or the temperature, it was far from the current boom. Obviously, good Li Jiao, Cha-kun's strength is very powerful. After the flame existed for a few seconds, it disappeared strangely. Cha-kun looked strangely at the palm of his hand, only a few wisps of black smoke were left in it. No wonder, it's a professional hero after all. Raising his head, Mr. Aizawa was standing on the platform on the 2nd floor with his hair raised high, staring at him with bloodshot eyes. After all, it is an experienced and veteran hero. Just now, at the very close of the battle, Mr. Aizawa used his own bandage to fix himself on the railing on the 2nd floor, avoiding the attack of Taken. Cha-kun, who wanted to attack again, habitually waved his arm, but the usual flame did not appear, only a trace of air was moved. It's useless. This is where Aizawa-sensei's quirk is powerful. It can force you into a battle that only depends on your own strength, and then use his superb fighting skills to subdue villains. Chapter 171 Himiko Toga. The bandage resembling a soft sword, in Aizawa-sensei's hand, was as flexible as an arm, and it quickly tied Cha-kun's body. Then, Aizawa-sensei slammed it, and the 2 quickly approached and couldn't use quirk. Chappie is absolutely helpless, like a puppet, at the mercy of it. Behind him, Aizawa-sensei's knee was pushed forward and hit Dabi's head, followed by a set of motions like clouds and flowing water. Before people could see clearly, Chappie was pressed to the ground. State your purpose, number of people and location. Still not letting his guard down, Mr. Aizawa stared at Cha-kun and asked. Why? Even in the face of such a situation, Cha-kun did not say anything softly, but showed a smile instead. Crack. Thinking of the sound of broken bones, Aizawa-sensei broke one of Dabi's arm without any problems. If you don't say anything, your bones will be broken. Next is the right hand. If the leg is also broken, it will be troublesome to escort it. Mr. Aizawa, who was worried about the comfort of his classmates, had already become fierce at this time, completely different from the usual salted fish. Are you in a hurry, Eraser? I really don't want to feel painful. Dabi doesn't care about the threat at all, but looks at the exit of the forest. At this time, the first group of students who entered the forest ran out in a panic. The number 357 was Iida and Grape. Teacher. After seeing Mr. Aizawa, several people suddenly ran over as if they had a backbone. Taking advantage of Mr. Aizawa's distraction for a while, Cha-kun rolled around, quickly broke free of control, stood up from the ground, felt his body injury, and felt a little helpless. As expected, he is a strong person who is qualified to be a teacher in Shongying. This hero does he care about the students that much? If only he can really protect him. There will be a period later. After speaking, Cha-kun's body turned into a puddle of black liquid and fell to the ground. The fire breathing just now was not his quirk. Seeing this scene, Aizawa-sensei was also stunned, and he kept eliminating the opponent's quirk. Why did he disappear into black water out of thin air? However, he didn't have time to think about these issues at the moment. He led a few classmates into the house and ran into the forest alone. At this time, the Masada was still speeding. 100. Cha-cha. The fast-paced Masada, seeing the familiar figure in front of her, shouted excitedly. That's right, he has now caught up with the few people who had returned to the camp before, which made his hanging heart finally let go. Madam, you have already dealt with villains. Seeing that Masada, who hadn't been separated for a long time, appeared in front of him again, Kendo asked in disbelief. Be it right, I killed the poisonous guy, and the rest of the villains haven't met yet. Stopped and exchanged known information with everyone, Masada looked at Yaoyorozu, who was still wearing a gas mask, with a look of concern. Are you two injured? No, we haven't met villains yet, we just ran into Kento and the others on the road. Now we are ready to go back to the camp. Let's go with us. Yaoyorozu's voice came from behind the mask, a little earned sound. Masada also took this idea, and made plans after returning to the camp. There is too little information now. The number and location of villains are all unknown, and the safety of the students is also at a loss. I just don't know why, the Mandalay cat did not pass this information to everyone. It stands to reason that there is a puppet cat. It should be easy to gather the classmates together and fight back. Who? Masada suddenly turned his head and uttered into the darkness, which caused the advancing people to stop CDEI. As if shocked by the loud roar all day long, there was intermittent noise in the dark forest. A young girl in a JK uniform with a syringe backpack came out from behind a pile of bushes. Because the light was too dark, she couldn't see her appearance. Villains. Seeing this strange girl in front of her, Yaoyorozu immediately said nervously. Don't worry, everything has me. He patted Yaoyorozu's back stiff from tension, and said in a deep voice, the magma on his other hand had flowed out, and the red firelight completely dispelled the shadows here. You are one. The face of the JK girl is shown in front of everyone. She has beige hair color, her hair is tied into the shape of two balls, she wears a mask on her face, and her hands are placed on her chest like a little girl. It seems that I have seen my favorite thing. Masada felt a little familiar when she saw this girl, but she couldn't remember where she had seen it, and she was stunned for a while. It's just too big, it's me. It's me. Seeing that Masada stood still, Himiko Toga took off the mask directly, stood on his tiptoes excitedly, leaned forward, and the corners of his mouth rose greatly. Hearing this unique way of speaking, Jung suddenly remembered that it was the girl who gave herself a hug in the amusement park. At the time, she thought she was a fan of her, but she didn't expect it to be a change in a blink of an eye. Own villains. Jingtai, how do you feel that you are very familiar with him? You even know your name. Yaoyorozu by now completely did not face Villains' expected performance, but looked suspiciously at Masada, as if to see some clues from his face. This gaze like a palace is like what you want. Yaoyorozu's eyes felt a little cold on his back, and Jung too quickly waved his hand to explain. No, she is the girl we met at the door of the haunted house. You still talked to her at that time, have you forgotten it? Really forgot. Who knows that Yaoyorozu by didn't play the cards according to common sense at all, and directly responded coldly to Masada, which made Masada's cold sweat even more. Anyway, you have to believe me. I have absolutely nothing to do with her. He patted his chest hard, swearing too fiercely to prove his innocence. Seeing Masada's expression that didn't seem to be a fake, Yaoyorozu's suspicion in Bai's heart slowly dissipated, and his eyes softened, but the next moment her nerves tightened again, and now she remembered that there was Villains in front of her. Really, such a big person is not handsome at all, why don't you turn red? Or you want me to use this machine to suck you out? Ignoring the conversation between the two just now, Himiko Toga is still immersed in his own fantasy, and his body is constantly tweaking in place, as if dreaming about something strange. Chapter 172 Encounter in the Woods. What's the matter with this girl? She is very cute, but her whole body reveals an aura of tenderness. Exquisite face, cute little tiger teeth, beige ball head, undoubtedly, the image of Himiko Toga is very in line with the public's aesthetics, and it is also the kind of eye-catching type in the beautiful Tokyo. But with her morbid expression and strange words, it gives people a different feeling. Yaoyorozu Hyaku and Kendo were about to step forward at this time, but they were stopped by Masada's hand. The quirk of Villains is not clear yet. Don't do it lightly handy. Masada said with a serious face that the poisonous man just now had already given birth to bone gluten, so it was said that in many battles, it was not the real fighting power, and the intelligence aspect was also the winning factor, a major decisive factor. Among the few people here, Masada himself is the only one who can ignore part of this factor. After all, in the face of almost universal elementalization, Masada will be in a state of invincibility for a period of time. Are you also a member of the League of Villains? Seeing that the other party didn't seem to have any intention to attack, he asked in a deep voice. League of Villains. You are too big, do you mean Deadwood? Of course I am not the same with him. My purpose this time is you, just too big. I've been thinking of you every day during this period of time. Masada, people smell so good. While answering happily, Himiko Toga leaned forward, twitching his nose, as if sniffing the breath of Masada. I was so dumbfounded at once, how did I feel that this girl had strayed into the battlefield? And it seemed to be really interesting to me. This way is really weird. No matter what your purpose is, since you are here, please get down first. Time is running out. Masada decided to knock the girl out first, and wait until the matter is over before asking questions. This is not the time for Lian Shongshiyu. His body was red, and he was just a little bit under his feet, and appeared in front of Himiko Toga, who was not far from him. That's it, it's the same color as blood. I really like you so much, I'm too big. Unexpectedly, in the face of Masada's attack, Himiko Toga didn't even have any desire to evade. Instead, he opened his arms as if he was welcoming Masada's embrace. The smile on the corner of his mouth did not seem to be fake at all. Yelling is really troublesome. The opponent looks like this. Masada really can't bear to punch a magma fist on a charming girl. Although he is not the kind of person who can't do anything to girls, if the punch is true, it is estimated that the opponent will be dead. Taking the magma back into the body, Masada directly clasped Himiko Toga's wrist with a flexible physical technique, and then twisted her body and pressed her to the ground, her knees pressed tightly against her back. 100. Make a wrist. Having stopped the opponent's actions, he turned his head too much and shouted at Yaoyorozu behind him. What? It's not cute at all, but Jungtai's breath is getting stronger and stronger. Obviously my body can no longer move, and my expression still looks like crazy. Sure enough, I still like the way you look bright red all over you. Just let me help you. As soon as the words turned, one of the syringes in Himiko Toga's body suddenly plunged into the thigh of the wife. The blood was sucked out by the needle that automatically draws blood immediately, and flowed along the transparent rubber tube to a blood storage bottle on her waist. Masada naturally noticed the abnormality on his leg, and he stretched out his hand and pulled the needle out of his body. After a few seconds, the wound healed automatically. During this period of time, Himiko Toga took out a knife from his sleeve, with a happy expression on his face, and thrust his backhand towards Masato, who was pressing on him, but this time Masato did not give her a chance. The palm turned a knife and slashed fiercely on her wrist. Under this strong impact, I only felt that my wrist was suddenly paralyzed and I couldn't get any strength. The knife fell out of his hand. For flowers. Sure enough, I still can't communicate. I still think about sneak attack. It's too naive. At this time, Yaoyorozu has also created the handcuffs, and directly handcuffed my hands and feet. Masato also disassembled the syringe backpack on her back into parts. After all, it came from the sneak attack just now. Look, her attack may be dependent on these needles. Well, if you don't want to be knocked out, just be honest. At this time, Himiko Toga was handcuffed to death with his hands and feet, and he didn't have the ability to resist at all. He fell to the ground and looked at Jungma idiotly. It must be impossible to just leave her here. There must be a lot of useful information in her mouth, so Masato and others decided to take her back to the camp. However, Kendo was already holding a person with one hand. If Yaoyorozu Hyakua Cha-Cha had such a person on his back, his mobility would be greatly reduced, so this task could only be given to Masato. Grasping Dumi, Masato, with some rough movements, directly slapped her on his shoulders. Go on, it shouldn't be far away. Under the influence of Himiko Toga, I'm not sure if there are other villains people in the forest. This time I was a lot more cautious. Masato walked in the forefront. In the middle were the four of Kentang Cha-Cha, and finally Yaoyorozu was behind the 100th floor. Suddenly, Masato felt a sensation in his ears. Don't move. He berated her in a low voice, and tightened the arm that was holding her, trying to make her stop this action. Chapter 173 died of talking. Passing through the last bush, Masato and his group came to a clearing, which is the only way to the camping site. At this time, there is a battle going on in the clearing. The three people in Pussycats are fighting with two people whom Masato has never seen. The puppet cat is not here, and the North American shorthair cat has fallen on the ground with his head. Blood is still flowing. How come? Even the professional hero S failed. Cha-Cha saw the scene in front of her, and she covered her mouth in surprise and exclaimed. During these 2 days of training, they have often dealt with the North American shorthair cats. It is clear that her strength is very strong, at least not comparable to the current classmates. The annoying kid appeared. The sudden appearance of so many people naturally attracted the attention of villains. At this time, one of the two men with black sunglasses turned his head and looked at several people. His opponent was the tiger. With fierce hand-to-hand combat, the tiger, who is good at close combat, has no choice but to take him. Why are you and become a prisoner? Seeing the person carrying Masato on his shoulders was a bit familiar. The man named Maggie retreated out of the tiger's attack range. Dingqing took a look and found that it was her own companion. I'm not a prisoner, I voluntarily followed Jung Tai. Himiko Toga has no sense of a prisoner at all, but she does not think that she is a prisoner at all. Masato, I knew you were unreliable. After hearing what I said, Sister Maggie had such an expression on her face. She picked up her weapon from the ground, which was a column with a bandage, and then pointed one end of the column at Masato. You are the Igarashi Masato. I finally found you. As soon as the voice fell, Masato felt that a huge force was acting on her body, and then her body was out of control and flew directly towards Sister Maggie. It's kind of like gravity. Very interesting quirk. However, Masato didn't panic. Instead, she complimented her slowly, throwing away the cross on her shoulder, and did not make any resistance, watching Sister Mag's weapon grow bigger and bigger in her own eyes. Maybe your quirk is very strong, but the combat experience is still too weak. There was already a triumphant smile on Ma Ji's face, and the tiger was also full of anger, and rushed over quickly, but it seemed that he couldn't keep up. Unexpectedly, the opponent would leave himself and attack a student. It was really despicable. However, Yaoyorozu Cha-Cha seems to be watching a movie, and he doesn't worry about Masato's comfort at all. It is no special secret that Masato can be elementalized in Class A. As long as his physical strength is sufficient, he is basically invincible. Land. Die. The huge pillar slammed into Masato's head, so it seems that the injuries of the North American shorthair cat that fell on the ground were also caused by the man in sunglasses in front of him. There was no obstacle at all. Sister Mag only felt that she had broken a watermelon with a strange expression on her face. He was very clear about the hardness of the skull and shouldn't be so fragile. However, he soon became surprised. As Masato's head shattered, the crimson liquid splashed, and part of it was still stuck on Sister Mag's hands. The suction force suddenly disappeared. I said you have so much nonsense in the League of Villains. The same is true of the second-year high school student just now, and you are also a wretched man with sunglasses. Why do you face me like a winning ticket? Do you look down on me? The magma at the neck quickly condensed into a skull, and he twisted his neck too much, and said with a displeasure. Sister Mag, who fell on the ground and covered her hands while blowing up, saw Masato standing in front of her intact, and her heart was filled with surprise. At this time, he also understood why Shigeki repeatedly emphasized that Igarashi was their archenemy. This strength and temperament are not what a student should have. Faced with this kind of character who thinks he is the best in the world, Jung has no desire to be with him. When the other party can't resist at all, he directly knocked him out with a fist, and the head flowed out. The blood even gathered on the ground into a small pond. You should not die, right? I felt a bit heavy at the start, and I was too embarrassed to look at the tiger who had just rushed over, but the tiger's expression was richer than him, and the villains, which he couldn't defeat for so long, didn't even make a move in the hands of Masada. It makes the face of the old professional hero-esque really hard to live. It's really too big to be the best. I really like the way you were just now. Himiko Toga is currently being controlled by Yayorozu Hyakua Cha-cha, but even so, she is still cheering restlessly behind her, and the scene where Masada turned into magma just now can't disappear in her mind. Sister Mag. On the other side, the villain who was fighting the Mandalay cat has red hair and green skin. It looks like a large lizard. He is holding a huge formed by numerous short knives tied together. Swordsman, and Mandalay cat has fought back and forth. In a short span of 10 seconds, his companion fell down somehow, which made him a little confused about the current situation. What is your fellow? Is it also a test product of the League of Villains? At the first moment when he saw this big lizard, Masada thought of hero-esque killer Stain. Stain, who was injected with genetic medicine, had the characteristics of animals in his body. Is this human being mixed with lizard genes? Because of the shock just now, the Mandalay cat stopped his hand movements, which gave the lizard man a little breathing space. Are you Igarashi Masada, the man who made Stain come to an end in Hosu? I don't know what the guinea pig you are talking about is. My name is Spinner, a follower of Stain's thoughts. Lizard man, no. Spinner looked at Justin 4.8 with a solemn expression on his face. It's not a coincidence that Stain lost to you. Only the real hero-esque can defeat him. So I also recognize you, but I will continue his dream and correct this distorted society. Ah. Before he finished speaking, Masada slammed countless lava fists at him. Spinner, who was still talking about it, had no time to escape. After only blocking a few pieces of lava with a big knife, he was swallowed by the lava. Blowing out the remaining black smoke in his hands, Masada is really speechless. Are the current villains not very good at their brains? Or is the League of Villains a gathering place for mentally handicapped children? There is no one who can do it well. I care who you are. Your approval is of no use to me, but since you are in my way, I am embarrassed. Chapter 174 If I come back alive, I will marry you. The two villains were solved easily. Masada walked over and pulled Spinner out of the magma. He had been burned in many places, but in terms of the physique of the world's people, he still couldn't die. Mandalay cat, can I contact the puppet cat? I need the location of my classmates so I can go to the rescue. Throwing Spinner to the tiger, Masada asked. Although he felt that the other party was all punks, but other classmates did not have his strong strength. If there was a mistake, it would be bad. The Mandalay cat and tiger had the same reaction before. Spinner is already a very powerful existence in her eyes. Not only is he extremely agile, but his strength is not bad. With his strange knives, she is a little tired. In dealing with it, the result was not even a trick under Masada's hands. It seems that I still had a low estimate of him before, and it is not unreasonable that he can be so high-hoped by Shangyeing. In fact, you just broke the rules and used quirk to hurt people. I don't recommend that you continue to the forest. We still leave these things to us. Slightly apologetic words were said from the Mandalay cat. During the stay together, such a large-scale invasion occurred on their site. It can be said that they have lost their faces, and the only thing they can do now is to protect. Classmates are not harmed. Special treatment at 23 special moments. At this time, I am a huge combat power. I can't cope with a few teachers alone. You know this in your heart. The words of Masada silenced the Mandalay cat. Except for the tiger, the other three of them are not hero-esque who are particularly good at fighting, but hero-esque who are good at rescue. The ability to play in this situation, it's not just too big at all. After pondering for a few seconds, it seemed to be organizing the words. I tried to contact the puppet cat before, but she didn't reply to me at all. Usually she will take the initiative to reply soon. Masada felt a little uncomfortable when he heard this. In this case, there was no contact. If it wasn't that the communicator was malfunctioning, then there was only one reason. The puppet cat has been killed. Although he didn't want to think in this direction, Masada still made the worst plan. Just now I have learned from villains that their goal this time is students, so they must have the means of self-defense. That is to say, they need the permission to use quirk at critical moments. The villains who said the information naturally crossed me. On the road just now, she almost completely said the information she knew in the League of Villains. It was obviously a little traitor. Although Masada was somewhat divided, I don't know whether it's true or false, but whether it's the poisonous junior high school student, or the sister Mag and Spinner just now, they obviously know themselves and seem to think of themselves. Became the goal, so only the purpose of villains, Masada is very certain. After saying this, Masada shut up and looked straight at the tangled Mandalay cat, as if to force her to make a certain decision. The Yayorozubai and others behind him also felt the atmosphere of this color, staring nervously at the two confronting each other. Even I stopped struggling, and looked at Masada quietly. After a long time, the Mandalay cat let out a long sigh of relief, as if letting go of a worry, and loosened the eyebrows that had been tightened. You have won. Glancing at the too tall body with complicated eyes, the Mandalay cat closed his eyes and activated his own quirk. Students in Class A and Class B, listen. Now, in the name of professional hero as pussycats, you are allowed to fight villains. In an instant, everyone, including Aizawa-sensei who was rushing to the forest, heard the voice of the Mandalay cat. Quote. After hearing the news, Aizawa-sensei showed no expression on his face. In fact, he was holding this idea and was eager to find the Mandalay cat. At this time, the stone in his heart was also put down when he heard the Mandalay cat's words. Finally, I can squeeze this guy in front of me. Bakugo is full of cheerful expressions at this time. He and Bang also met a villains, but because Bung has been blocking him, and his quirk is easy to cause forest fires, the two have been on trial. State. Okay, now the villains here are also settled, so hurry up to the camp to meet everyone. When Yaoyorozu created handcuffs to handcuff Spinner and Maggie's sisters, Masada and others were ready to move on. Suddenly, there was a vibration in the pocket of the pants. I was too curious to take out the phone, only to see Lugu sent him a message. Tai. A very common text message has only 2 characters and a location at the end, but it reveals a lot of news. Mandalay cat, where did Green Valley go to Mutai? Unexpectedly, Utai would no longer stay honestly in the camp. Instead, he ran away alone and didn't know where he was. Now Masada only thinks that this kid really deserves a spanking. Well, I usually don't tell me where I want to go to play, but Lugu classmate really wants to know his location before he hurried there alone. The look of shame on Mandalay cat's face is even better. As an aunt, she knows very little about her nephew. This is also her dereliction of duty. This is also the common situation of Hero S in this society. Professional Hero S is usually very busy at work. At the same time of high income and high reputation, the sacrifice is the time to spend with his family. The father of Bang is a typical example. According to Heng, Endeavor can work in the office continuously for a week without going home. In Masada's opinion, this is simply God-like operation. Even the top Hero S and Eva is the same. The Hero S under him are even more so. Working overtime has become their commonplace. From this point of view, Shongying's faculty and staff at 357 are still very laid back in some respects. That's why Masada is so eager to be strong. After being strong to a certain level, he will have the right to choose independently and be able to better control his life. But what Masada is more worried about is obviously the situation in Green Valley. This time the situation is similar to what happened in Hosu City. It is obvious that Green Valley does not have time to organize its own language at this time, and can only use the simplest one. Words to convey the news. 100, Cha-Cha, you follow the Mandalay cat to the camp first. I want to go to a place. I don't have the mind to go to meet Aizawa teacher again. Now my own action is 1 minute late. The danger of Midori Valley has risen exponentially. It can be said that life and death are speeding up. But isn't the goal of the League of Villains you? Yaoyorozu Bailama shouted anxiously. This time is different from before. I learned from Duo that the other party came here prepared this time. That is, he is going to obliterate Masada here. At this time, Masada needs to be alone. Go to war with villains. It can't help her not to worry. Seeing the dissatisfaction and worry in the girl's eyes, she secretly blamed herself too secretly. Once again, she was worried about, and the emotional debt owed to Yaoyorozu was one more point. Resisting the urge to step forward and hug her in her arms, she was too big to compare her thumbs, revealing her familiar mad smile. Chapter 175 Surprised Nomu. The naked confession-style words came out of Masada's mouth, making Yaoyorozu's face a little red, and Cha-Cha's face was a touch of envy. Since her vacation by the sea, she has determined her own mind. But Dewey, who was pressed on the ground, didn't react at all. Looking at the red light on Masada's body due to the accumulation of energy, there was obvious flushing on his face, and he even licked his lips, as if to enjoy something. Like a delicious meal. As soon as he exerted force on his legs, Masada's whole body rushed into the sky like a rocket. Seeing Masada who was like a small sun in the sky, Mandalay Cat and Tiger couldn't stop them, and they could only sigh for his power. NS. The night wind hit her face, making Jung Tai's head sober. She took out her mobile phone and looked at her position. It was not far from where Lugufa was located. Let me see. Looking down at the boundless forest, it was too difficult. Although the view at high altitude was broad, the ground scene was completely obscured by the dense woods, and it was impossible to see the situation underneath. Vo-om. Quote. Suddenly, a loud noise attracted Jungma's attention. Turning her head and looking around, she saw a large cloud of smoke rising from a cliff not far from the front left. That's it. Such a big movement is probably caused by Green Valley, and the location is almost the same. I adjusted my direction too much, and the black smoke billowed behind him, further increasing the speed, and rushing there like a meteor. Aren't you trying to protect that little kid? Then what are you running? Isn't this slapped yourself in the face? As the distance between the two sides shortened, the words on the cliff also passed into Masada's ears, and I saw a muscular man chasing Lugu and beating wildly, and there was a Nomu standing beside him. It was held tightly by this Nomu. Green Valley. Seeing his partner being beaten up and struggling constantly, Jung was very angry in an instant, and the bright red light on his hand was booming, and the whole cliff was shining like the end of the day. Heaven dog. The fast speed made the muscular man who was chasing too late to evade, so he could only watch Masada with an angry expression and pounce on him. Nomu. In a hurry, the muscular man actually ordered Nomu to stand on the side like a piece of wood. Is there any mystery here? Boom. However, Masada had to send an arrow on the string, and the iron-like fist directly imprinted on the person in front of him, penetrated his body without hindrance, and then furious magma spewed out from behind him, turning half a mountain. It's all melted. However, Masada's face showed a solemn expression. At the moment just now, his fist felt a sense of loss in an instant, which made him feel something wrong. Be careful, Jungma. He and Nomu swapped places. The Green Valley just now has been unable to dodge. Fortunately, even if Masato rushes to force the muscular man back, he will explain here. At this time, he is already exhausted, and he doesn't even have the strength to stand up. Everyone slumped on the ground and reminded Mrs. Hearing Lugu's words, Masato also raised his head and saw the face of the person in front of him. It was Nomu who was holding Zatai on the side before. He unexpectedly appeared in front of him and helped the muscular man block his attack. Since both of them belonged to the type of devil muscles, Masato didn't notice it for the first time. But at this time, it was because Nomu suddenly disappeared and fell to the ground. He used his hands and feet to come directly to Lugu, looking at him with concern, which was completely different from the indifferent attitude of the previous days. Green Valley, tell me what you know. Masato is now completely serious, but he knows that Green Valley can exert 100% of ONFORALL's power under the condition of damaging his body, and looking at his two arms that are now twisted, he must have done it too. Try this. The power of ONEFORALL is experienced in the hands of All Might. That simple to extreme power is not comparable to even the current Masato, and even in the face of such an attack, the muscular man in front of him is still a bit. No injuries, we can see that he is stronger. Villain's quirk is muscle strengthening, which can increase the value of muscle fibers and greatly enhance his speed and strength. It is difficult to deal with the clip. Knowing that he has no fighting ability, Lugu is also playing his final role, sharing the known information with Masato. He used these muscle fibers to block that force before, but there are more troublesome things. That Nomu seems to be able to switch positions between himself and others instantly. Not only that, but he can regenerate quickly, and his own power is also very great. The strongest blow I hit was that he used this to change positions. The characteristics are hidden. Without the appearance of this Nomu, Green Valley is likely to have defeated this muscular man. He was in a hurry just now, and he had exerted ONEFORALL 1,000,000% of his strength, even though he was hitting with a broken arm. Yes, the power has dropped drastically, but the damage caused is also amazing. The loud noise that Masato heard just now is this trick. The movement, however, it was his punch full of conviction that was blocked by Nomu, who suddenly appeared from nowhere, and after this Nomu took the blow, it didn't take long to stand up again, and he also smashed it. As a hostage, Green Valley also lost the ability to fight, and only then did Masato come over to see the scene where he has been on the run. Again, this disgusting characteristic is really annoying. Good kings. The muscular man doesn't say much. Masato is really bored with this kind of regeneration now. This is the same as Xiaoqiang who can't be killed. In addition to a one-shot kill, he can only slowly grind the opponent to death, without fighting at all. The fun at all. When the two were talking, Nomu, who had fallen into the magma, also got up, and granulation quickly emerged from the big hole in his chest, which quickly filled the entire cavity, and finally even the skin on the surface grew out. Except for the color a little darker than the surroundings, there is no trace of his injury at all. It's dangerous. Fortunately I brought this secret weapon this time, otherwise I will die. At this time, the muscular man looked at the damage caused by Zheng Tagong's blow, and he had a lingering fear. He said that although his muscle fibers are very defensive against pure force impact, but in the face of unreasonable things like magma, it's useless except for a moment of obstruction. Chapter 176 Shift. The highest priority student on the list, Igarashi Masato, is you. Pulling off the black robe on his body, the muscular man revealed his large muscles. Sure enough, it is as strong as the boss said. Although he seemed to praise Jungma in his mouth, his tone was ridiculous. It's not good to stay in the facility, but instead of running here, don't blame me. The body slowly swelled, exuding a terrible breath. The muscular man wore a piece of equipment, revealing his brutal nature, and his undisguised malice spread towards Masato. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. Quote, Masato was not affected much, but Shite behind him trembled, with a terrifying expression on his face. After all, for a 5-year-old child, this breath was enough to make him shiver, and in addition, this muscular man was the murderer of his parents, which made him even more instinctively scared. Lugu, you take Yutai and leave it to me here. Looking at the hideous prosthetic eye in the left eye of the muscular man, he opened his mouth flat, as if what he was about to face was just a drizzle. Unexpectedly, Lugu didn't say anything to advance and retreat together, but was silent. He is also very clear in his heart that with the current him and Tai Tai, not only 360 cannot become a combat power, but it may also become a burden. At this time, it is indeed the best choice to leave with Guangtai first. Without replying to Masato, Lugu made his choice with actions, and laboriously used his broken hands to encircle Kodai, squeezing the last trace of power in his body, and the green light flashed on his legs again. But the color is much darker than usual. Want to bugger, Nomu. The muscular man is obviously familiar with the appearance of Green Valley. Just now, he was punched severely by this look of Green Valley, so now he is quickly ordering Nomu to block the path of Green Valley. The whole body of this Nomu is orange, which is different from what Masato saw before. This Nomu does not have a brain exposed to the outside. On the contrary, his head is like a starfish, with several tentacles extending out on the side. Swaying, the human facial features have completely disappeared from his face, replaced by a huge mouthpart, densely covered like teeth as sharp as a knife. Hearing the instructions of the muscular man, Nomu moved quickly, but he didn't show the ability to shift position CDEI before. Instead, he opened his legs and chased Green Valley. Don't think about it. Jungtae is now blocked on Nomu's only way. Of course, it is impossible for him to pass easily. Black smoke is already coming out of his body, and hot lava is dripping down his arm. Big Spitfire. The huge magma fist blocked all of Nomu's roots and slammed into Nomu close to the ground, and Nomu, who had no intelligence, was not afraid at all, and rushed towards the magma fist at an unabated speed. Seeing that magma was about to swallow this Nomu, the muscular man standing not far away suddenly showed an evil smile. However, Masada found that the scenery in front of her had changed. The person in my eyes just now was Nomu, but in a blink of an eye, it turned into a green valley holding Yutai, and his magma giant fist was constantly approaching the two of them, and it was likely to hit at this speed. What, have you changed my position with yourself? Masada was shocked. Only Nomu's quirk can do this kind of operation, but now he has no time to think about how to deal with this annoying quirk, but to avoid his own attack hitting Green Valley. The badly injured Green Valley would definitely be dead if he suffered from his own Spitfire. Jump up, Green Valley. Shouting, Masada forcibly contained the power he wielded, but the huge inertia brought by the huge amount of magma was not so easy to stop. Masada could only do his best to press his arm down, so that this attack did not spread to the Green Valley. And Guang Tai, hearing Masada's yelling, Lubu turned his head and looked behind him, and was also shocked, and instinctively jumped to the sky. At this time, Masada's magma fist also hit the ground, sending out huge explosions and air currents. With this air current and the smoke produced by the explosion, Green Valley quickly disappeared into the night and successfully escaped. The Masada who just breathed a sigh of relief, before she had time to pull her arm out of the magma, she felt a sharp pain from behind, as if she was hit by a high-speed truck, and the whole person flew out in an instant, crashed into the mountain wall in front, forming a huge pothole. Cut, have you been ran away? The muscular man didn't get angry when he saw Lubu escape. Although Lubu was on the list, the priority was far inferior to Masada. At this time, as long as Masada stayed here, it would be a great achievement for him. Stepping forward, the muscular man's mouth shows a smile that holds the winning ticket. He is very confident of the power of this Nomu. He is unguarded from being hit by such a huge force. Presumably even Igarashi must be seriously injured. Let me see the color of your blood. At this moment, a dazzling red light suddenly burst into the smoke, and then black smoke that was far thicker than these smokes spread out from the center, and a bright red magma column shot out from the smoke quickly, directly hitting the muscle man. Heart. Boom. The scorching smell of protein denaturation filled the entire cliff, and the muscular man let out a painful cry and backed away hastily. Masada really took a heavy punch from Nomu just now, because he was too worried about the situation in Green Valley, which caused him to ignore the fist style coming from behind. When he realized that the attack was coming, it was too late to become elemental. NS. But fortunately, when his body was in the air, Masada slammed a punch towards the mountain wall, and then the recoil slowed down his figure. The previous smoke was not caused by him crashing into the mountain wall, but caused by his own attack. But even if the damage has been minimized, Masada is still uncomfortable now. God knows how these Nomu strengths can be so terrifying. At that moment, Masada only felt that his internal organs were about to shift. Fortunately, his body is strong enough. There is no problem with the bones, which is why he can quickly counterattack. Spitting out a mouthful of blood, looking at the unbelievable, even furious, muscular man on his face, Masada showed a trace of joking on his face. It was pretty good, and finally there was an opponent who was not a dragon. Chapter 177 Disadvantages of Elementalization. I'm going to kill you. Absolutely. The muscular man's arm was burned by magma and a big hole was burned out, and even the blood inside was evaporated to clean. His reaction was already very fast just now, and he quickly used the quirk to put a layer of muscle fiber in his arm. But as said before, his proud quirk didn't work at all in front of Masada, and was swallowed up by the hot magma. At this time, the muscular man's only remaining eye was almost full of flames, and the uncontrollable anger was constantly accumulating in his chest, giving him even greater anger. I was hurt by this kid without paying attention. It is unforgivable. However, the Masada at this time had already rushed towards Nomu, who was standing still because he hadn't ordered. Meteor ray. The fingers opened, and the 5 fingers instantly turned into thick lava, hesitating to shoot at Nomu like a sharp arrow, and successfully opened 5 holes in his chilling head. The tentacles also dropped a few. But since this Nomu can withstand the full blow of Green Valley, then Masada's attack will naturally follow. After a while, the wound on his head recovered as before, and the tentacles grew again. It's really troublesome. He cursed secretly, not because he didn't want to use more powerful moves to attack Nomu, but there was an eye-catching muscle beside him, the fleshy man. You kid, don't run. Seeing Masada leave him alone, but instead attack Nomu, the anger in the muscular man's heart became even more intense, and his feet leapt hard, and the entire cliff and ground were shaken. By the recoil of the soles of the feet, the muscular man was like one. Like a cannonball it flew out. The terrifying impact shattered the ground along the way. The strong wind pressure even produced a sound, and Masada had to turn around to deal with the human cannonball. I want to tear you apart. The swelling of muscle fibers broke through the skin, and blood-red fibers spread all over the upper body of the muscular man. He was already like a monster at this time, and his powerful fist smashed toward Masada. In the face of attacking such a simple and rude villains, he is not surprised and rejoiced. He can be said to be the nemesis of this kind of melee villains. It's you who will be torn apart. There was also a loud roar, and Masada's arms were so straight to greet them, and there was no trace of magma on it. Under the horrible muscle dimension of the muscular man, Masada's thick arms actually looked so slender, just like it was like a match hit a wooden stick, it seemed a little overwhelming. Snapped. The strange sound came, not the sound of fist bones colliding, nor the sound of physical collision, but like the sound of watermelon cracking. You kid. The severe pain came from the muscular man's arm. It was shockingly that Masada's entire arm was turned into magma. He punched it directly into the high-temperature magma. Although the magma was dispersed, it was still affected. Burn. Do you think it's only that simple? It's you who don't run now. Masada's ability to manipulate magma has been greatly improved, especially for magma that is closer to itself, and its control is very strong. The magma that was broken up just now is gathering quickly, and from Masada's shoulders, it continues to spread to the muscles of the muscular man's arms. Like a poisonous snake that chooses people to eat, it is tightly bound to him. The amount of magma was increasing, and within a second, the muscular man's arm was completely wrapped in the magma, and the scorched smell came out from it, making Masada frown. However, the muscular man is uncomfortable. The intense pain almost makes his brain produce an emergency response. Although his muscle fibers are injured and will not affect the body, the pain will not decrease at all, even due to the increase in the contact area. This pain is still magnified geometrically. But soon, he found that the pain disappeared, but unfortunately, along with the pain, he also had his entire arm. Seeing that the magma seemed to spread to his shoulders, the muscular man's eyes showed fear. In just a few seconds, one of his arms was completely abolished. If you give it to Masada more time, he is dead. Nomu, look for flowers. The emotion of fear dilutes the previous anger, and the muscular man's voice is a little hoarse. Nomu, who was given the order, quickly performed his duties. Masada only felt that the muscular man disappeared in front of his eyes, and then Nomu's fist continued to expand in his pupils. Heaven dog. Not minding that he would be injured, Masada's arm moved forward and took Nomu's chest straight. Snapped. His head was beaten into magma again, and Masada now looked like a headless corpse, but his arm was also smoothly pierced into Nomu's body. Boom. The magma representing this destruction is destroying Nomu's body once again, and Junta's head is also rapidly condensing. 0. However, at this time, the sudden change occurred. Masada only felt that his hand suddenly lightened, and Nomu disappeared without warning. It ruined one of my arms. I will tear you up alive, and then gnaw your flesh off the bones. Accompanied by the crazy roar, the muscular man appeared in front of Masada. The inflated body of countless times did not hinder his agility. On the contrary, it made his speed faster, and the severed hand turned out to grow a lot. The muscle fibers of his body sealed his wound firmly. At this time, Junta's head has not yet been condensed, and his belly seems to have been hit by a siege hammer. Even his strong body can't resist this impact, and a big mouthful of blood mist is sprayed out of his mouth. Quote. This time the impact was genuine. The Masada who was hammered by the muscular man hit a huge hole in the ground, and even lost consciousness for a moment. Damn it, careless. Facing the Masada who fell on the ground, the muscular man did not look to stop his hands, but a fierce zone of light in his eyes, like a beast of prey in the town, a leap jumped to the top of the Masada, and then countless muscle fibers. It spewed out from his hand and slammed down towards Masada. The head was a little dizzy, and she didn't dare to elementize the whole body at this time, because it not only requires a lot of physical strength, but also requires concentrated energy. Long. Chapter 178 Suzaku of Flame. He doesn't dare to bet now. It has been seen in the attack just now that this muscular man's brute force is astonishing and can already be comparable to Nomu. If the elementalization fails and gets another blow, then he is in danger. And the muscular man's fighting instinct is also very amazing, just like his rough appearance, like a beast. Whether it was the opportunity to seize Masada's stupefaction before, or the sudden change of positions with Nomu just now, Masada was successfully injured. This is something that many professional heroes can't do, such as being able to suppress the tiger. Sister Mag couldn't even make a single move in Masada's hands. A quick back rolling, it was too bad to escape the attack of these muscle fibers, and then the palm of the hand turned the knife. The red magma hand knife cut the roots of the muscle fibers deeply inserted into the ground. Little mouse, don't run, 360. However, for the muscular man who was already crazy now, the pain could no longer interfere with his actions. Instead, it further stimulated his nerves, making him more excited, and quickly fell to the ground and rushed towards Masada. But this time Masada didn't go head to head with him, but used the magma pool on the ground to deal with him. Isn't it very clumsy just now? Why are you suddenly less courageous now? Using his muscle fibers to continuously hit the potholes in the ground to limit Masada's actions, but Masada is now like a flexible loach. No matter how provocative the muscular man, he will not fight him head on. Attacks that could not be dodged used elementalization to hide, making the muscular man almost angry. I wanted to keep it to deal with that guy, now it seems I will try it with you first. Finally, Masada felt that his mind was awake enough, and the body that had been avoiding constantly stopped. His eyes condensed abruptly. Finally can't wait to come and die. Seeing Masada standing in place no longer dodges, the muscular man was overjoyed. The muscle fibers on his body rushed out even more crazily, and his body skyrocketed again. The aversion muscles were squirming quickly on his body like the roots of a tree. He seemed to be about to release the oppressed breath from him. Unexpectedly, you will be the first person who can taste despair. He didn't care about the opponent's actions. After Masada decided to use this trick, he no longer regarded the muscular man as an equal opponent, even with the extremely disgusting Nomu. Never mind, your strength is indeed not weak, my debut show of this trick is placed on you, and there is no shame. Don't be too silly, kid. Who are you looking down on? Give me death. The muscular man who could no longer see the human figure rushed towards Jungtae with bursts of sonic booms, and Jungtae's voice also sounded at the same time. Surface of Flame. Anyone who has seen Naruto knows that Suzuo Nogo, who can fight the tail beastization and the fairy mode, is an extremely powerful. This trick of Masada is the inspiration found from Suzuo Nengu. The magma on his body overflowed his body, and within a few breaths, a giant nearly 20 meters tall was formed, completely enclosing Masada inside. This giant is entirely composed of magma, and the viscosity of the magma that is depleted is very high, so that the Yenjisuo can be stabilized, so that it will not collapse, and the position of Masada has also come to the Yenji with the surge of magma. At the center of Zuo, because of the quirk, he can put himself in a semi-elemental state and see the situation outside clearly, and this is also what he can. The reason for being able to manipulate such a huge Yenjisuo. Elementalization has become the core of all Masada's moves. The size of the two people is not equal in an instant. If the muscular man was like a baby before, then the muscular man now is no different from an ant in front of the muscular man who is incarnate in the face of the Yan Susao. With a disdainful glance at the muscular man who barely stopped his figure and prevented himself from slamming into the magma, Masada's heart moved slightly. The giant's originally empty hand, the magma slowly extended, forming two giant swords. The flames and black smoke entwined on it are a symbol of destruction. Lifting his head, the muscular man looked at the crimson giant in front of him. His throat was a bit dry. Hey, is this a monster? Most of the time, strength and volume are proportional. A full 20-meter-high giant, even if he simply waved his arm, the power of the drive is huge, not to mention the huge attack range, and it is completely made of magma. The constituted body, ignore the exclamation of the muscular man, he is too moving. The ground vibrated strongly, and the powerful air current rolled up all the rubble on the ground. The muscular man was single-eyed and stared tightly against the giant who started to move, for fear of missing one of his movements. With a thought, Masada manipulated the red magma giant sword and slashed fiercely at the muscular man on the ground. The huge wind pressure and the overwhelming range of attack made the muscular man have no room to dodge. In his eyes, the entire sky was dyed red. Nomu. At this time, he can't care about the death wood handing Nomu to him. If he must bring this Nomu back, everything is so unworthy in front of life. The muscular man is now the only thought in my heart is to leave here as soon as possible, the farther away the better, and then regroup in the dark place to avenge the revenge. In an instant, Nomu and the muscular man exchanged positions. At this time, Masada's giant sword had reached the top of Nomu's head. Even if Nomu wanted to evade, it was too late. He could only resist. Boom. The magma giant sword undoubtedly chopped the ground like vegetables, and divided it into two 4.8 halves with the ground, which was Nomu's body. There is no bloodstain. The bloodstain is evaporated at the moment it encounters the magma. There is only a burnt black at the incision. It is not clear where the internal organs are from the flesh and blood. In front of the magma, the body of the creature is so fragile that it has no ability to resist. Seeing that Nomu has become two halves, I was thinking too much that even if his speeding regeneration is great, he can't connect his broken and separated bodies together. I was about to chase the muscular man who was already on the run, but found Nomu again. New changes have taken place. I really have a hand. Looking at Nomu's body, Masada of Yansusaka narrowed his eyes. Chapter 179 Asexual Reproduction. I saw the cut where Nomu was cut by Masada. Although it was still emitting black smoke, red granulation sprouts out of the charred flesh. The granulation is still constantly twisting and intertwining with each other, as if it is about to form a new one. The body is average. Masada is also competing with this Nomu at this time. Is it possible that this thing cannot be split? In that case, do you have two consciousnesses? It may be a little inaccurate to say that. It seems that Nomu has no brains and can only understand simple commands. I didn't let Masada wait for a long time. The granulation growth rate was getting faster and faster. In about 10 seconds, Nomu, who was originally split in half, actually formed half of the body, and finally became two in just now. Kind of Nomu. What's this? Asexual reproduction. The first time he saw such a weird thing, Masada was also shocked. Looking at the appearance of this Nomu, it should be integrated into the sea star's genes. I didn't expect that even the sea star's split and regeneration characteristics have also been inherited. It is really an amazing thing. Amazing things. Cytology and genetics have always been difficult for humans in their homework. The results of the PhD May 23rd have been leading the cutting-edge technology in the world for more than 10 years. But even if this Nomu has such a powerful ability, in front of Yan no Suzuo, he is still weak, and without the order of the muscle man, he will only attack by pure body, the kind of quirk that swaps positions. It has not been activated again, but maybe it is really because of his split that caused the disappearance or weakening of quirk. The thing is too complicated. I don't want to understand it. No matter how weird it is, just use a strong force to push it flat. This is exactly what Masada has always believed in the battle. The two Nomus have already taken action at this time. One left and the other stood beside Masada, forming a closed posture. You two have been surrounded by me. Masada's voice came out from Yenjisuzu. Some of them were not real, but this did not hinder his movements. Once again, He waved the magma sword in his hand and swiped it vigorously towards his side for a while, and a scorching whirlwind was generated. Before the two Nomu could move, they were cut in half again, which was different from before. The thing is, it was cut from top to bottom before, but this time it was cut in half. Having seen this Nomu's strange ability, Masato naturally would not wait for him to complete the split, raising the giant sword in his hand, like a piling, and thrusting it into Nomu's slowly squirming body. The huge magma sword directly engulfed the bodies of the two Nomu. The gravity and impact force generated by the huge sword directly shattered the ground, and the cliff also gave out an unbearable face. It is just a half-hill slope, and it is about to pass. It's just too much toss. Looking at the ground that had turned into a magma pool, Masatai was relieved of the state of Yanzhou and fell from midair. The stamina used in actual combat for the first time is too much. The momentary feeling of disengagement from the body caused Masato to follow one by one, and almost fell, but in the end he stabilized his figure, panting with his hands on his knees. Just now, because I had been fighting, my nerves were in a highly excited state, and the secretion of hormones in the body was also abnormally fast, but after calming down at this time, the feeling of fatigue was full of the whole body. Energetic, Masato sank the whole person into the magma pool. After a while, 4 scorched black objects that hadn't completely melted came out of the magma pool. Masato also poked her head out of it, looked at these 4 objects that were out of motion, and smiled disdainfully. After all, it's just some synthetic products. No matter how powerful the body is, something without a brain is useless. Feeling the comfortable temperature from the magma around him, he closed his eyes too comfortably, and slowly recovered his physical strength. He discovered long ago that soaking in the magma seemed to make him recover more quickly. I was shocked and thought he would go further and further on the road of non-human, but then he found out that it hadn't happened. Whatever changes, I can enjoy this benefit with peace of mind. Jingsheng shakes up. About 5 minutes later, Zheng was too energetic to jump out of the magma pool, and saw the muscular man who had disappeared completely, which was a bit embarrassing. I accidentally let him run away, but that guy is so eye-catching, it shouldn't be too difficult to find, right? Thinking of this, Masato chased in the direction where the muscular man had just ran away. The depression on the ground is very obvious. It is obviously pressed out by the heavy body of the muscular man. At this time, Masato is watching the neighborhood while keeping on following these steps. Regarding Yaoyorozu's situation with them, he is not too worried now. Villains has been subdued, and there are tigers and Mandalay cats, and their own strength is not weak. Villains in the past, maybe it was only for cancer. However, the facts are contrary to what Masato thought. Where did these strange things pop up suddenly? At this time, Yaoyorozu, Baihei Cha-Cha and others have been surrounded by villains. Surrounding them is a group of genetic monsters with different looks. It is really hard to imagine just by human imagination how ugly these monsters have. When the time went back a few minutes ago, the heroes who were just about to escort Sister Mag, Spinner, and Himiko Toga, only heard a weird sound from the woods, stopped their steps, and looked at the darkness seriously. Forest. In this special stage, any turbulence may be caused by villains, so they can't help but be serious. Sure enough, it didn't take long for this large number of creatures to emerge from the woods, surrounding a few people. The strength of these monsters is not particularly strong. After a short time of fighting, the tiger has already beaten a few monsters to the ground, but the victory is that their number is really much compared to the few people in Hero S. Too much. Although Yaoyorozu, Bai, Cha-Cha, and Xiaodawei have also been fighting hard, because 360U and them have to protect the unconscious bones, the actual killing efficiency is not high. While they were fighting, a black hole suddenly appeared from the forest behind them and slowly turned into Kurogiri's appearance. I didn't expect Spinner and Sister Mag to be defeated so quickly. It's a waste. Seeing the two people who had lost consciousness after being handcuffed, Kurogiri couldn't help cursing in his heart. However, curse, the strength of these two men is still very useful for the League of Villains at this stage, so they must be rescued, which is why he is here. But Kurogiri was also afraid of Aizawa Shota's quirk. Listening to Cha-Kun's report just now, his multiplied clone did not hold Aizawa Shota. In other words, Aizawa Shota has already rushed here. If he really meets him, I can't activate the quirk by myself, and everyone will explain here. So Kurogiri released this batch of genetic beasts. These genetic beasts are the last remaining batch of League of Villains, and most of them have been left on that island forever by Masato. This batch of genetic beasts also appears to be full. Precious. It must be done quickly. I thought to myself that Kurogiri's body suddenly expanded, enveloping the unidentified Sister Mag and Spinner in it. As for crossing Mito Ochako, Kurogiri always felt that this perverted little girl was unreliable and saw her face. Shang didn't have the panicked expression of being captured at all, and he didn't care about her in a fit of anger. Chapter 180 Raging Shadow. Villains has reinforcements. The sudden change shocked the hearts of the people present. They didn't expect that villains would have such a method, so that what Masato did just now would be wasted. This person is from the League of Villains. The quirk is teleportation. You can open the portal. Kurogiri's quirk is no longer a secret, and Class A's classmates have dealt with him in USJ, so Yaoyorozu Baihei Cha-Cha recognized him the first time. After the tiger heard it, he immediately rushed towards Kurogiri. This villain seemed to be the man behind the invasion of Hekshu. The thieves were captured first, and the tiger was going to be caught directly. But unfortunately, time is too late. Since Kurogiri didn't plan to fight them here, after sending away Sister Spinner and Maggot, he immediately activated his quirk again, and soon his body was distorted and then disappeared. In the void, hateful, he threw himself empty, his paws only caught the tiger with a breath of air, and he roared unwillingly, but the tide-like genetic beasts around him had to settle down to deal with it. At this time, Green Valley also took Guangtai through most of the forest. Everyone should be okay, you must hold on. It is not very clear about the situation at this time. I thought that all villains were of the same level as the muscular man I met. Lubu was very worried. Is your injury okay? Because Lubu fractured both hands, Shutai consciously wrapped Lubu's neck to prevent herself from falling. The scene of Lubu fighting with a muscular man just now to protect him has been deeply imprinted in his mind. As far as he can remember, Lubu was the first person to fight for his life in order to protect him, which made him feel right. The word, hero-s can't help but make a big difference. Don't worry, I am accustomed to injuries. Although the severe pain on his body has been reminding Lubu of the seriousness of his injury, Lubu still held up a smile in order to calm Yutai. Where is the person who came to rescue you just now? Will something happen to him? The power of the muscular man has left a deep impression on Tai Tai. Even his Aunt Mandalay Cat and her companion Tiger have never had the destructive power of a muscular man, and Lubu is not his opponent. Is that guy who seems to be out of touch with him really his opponent? After listening to Wu Tai's words, there was also a slight pause in the pace at Lubu's feet. You are talking about Masada. If you are talking about Masada, there must be no problem. Thinking of Masada's daily performance and the strength shown in the class match, Green Valley settled. He is super strong. You know, he is the strongest person in our class. I am not his opponent at all. The scarred Green Valley said these words, which reminded Yutai again of the scene where he was picked up and taught by Masada. He didn't expect that the guy was the strongest in the group. At the time, he thought he was just a trick. If you let Masada know what Tai Tai was thinking at this time, he would definitely want to hang him up and spank him again. How do you think of him as a muscular man? It is one of the best in the class in terms of physique. God knows now what does the strong in the child's heart look like. Is it to be as cold as Boom in order to have the taste of a strong? Masada has now entered the forest again, but the surrounding scenery is very unfamiliar, obviously not the same place as where he had just come. Where did this guy go? It stands to reason that such a big move will make a lot of movement when you move quickly. That's right, Masada has already lost the muscle man at this time. Shoji. Suddenly, there was a tremor in the bushes ahead, and then a familiar figure ran out from inside. It was Shoji Mezzo, Masada's classmate. Why are you here? And it seems that the injury is not light. Where is villains? Shoji's current situation is not very good. His body is covered with scars of various sizes. There is also a neat incision on the replica wrist, and blood is flowing down. However, Shoji did not speak, but hinted that Masada would not speak out. He fixed his eyes on the depths of the woods beside him, and then an ear grew on the wrist of the other copy, and he kept listening to the surrounding movement. Oh. The surrounding area suddenly became quiet, and Masada also heard the howling of monsters in the woods, and seemed to be moving quickly toward this place. Still found. Shoji saw that he couldn't hide his trace, and sighed, and said to Shoji. Tokiyami and I met a very strong villains. During the villain sneak attack, Tokiyami protected me, but the quirk he had tried so hard to suppress before broke out because of this. Now the shadows are already it has become a monster that is irrespective of the enemy. At this time, Masada also understood. If it is to fight during the day, Shoji and Tokiyami can reasonably be equal, but in the dark, the situation is completely different. Tokiyami's quirk, the more it is in a dark place, the more powerful it is, but the manipulation power will be greatly reduced. Although I don't know where the limit of the shadow is, but from the expression of Tokiyami's heart, I don't think it will be weak. Where to go to folder. And during the stay together, Tokiyami's training was not with everyone, and was separated separately. The location was in a dark cave to strengthen the manipulation of the shadows. However, seeing Shoji's serious and nervous expression, Masada said that he was worrying too much. Don't worry, Sombra is very scared of me. If he comes, then just beat Sombra. As he said, the hissing voice of the good king became louder, and the eardrums of the people in the formation were a little bit painful. Then, a huge black monster rushed out of the woods. The trees along the way are like paper made in the hands of this black monster. The shadow that has run out of control at this time. And Tokiyami is now imprisoned by the black shadow in the center, and his limbs are tied up by the black shadow's body. Seeing his hands twitching, it should be tightly tied. Quiet, Sombra. Seeing Sombra's indiscriminate destruction at this time, Tokiyami's heart was secretly annoyed. The Sombra almost hurt Shoji before, making his regret and anger even further, but this intensified Sombra's runaway. Sombra couldn't hear what he said anymore. Oh, Sombra, remember me. Chapter 181 Aizawa's Support. This humorous remark immediately attracted the attention of Sombra. Boom. A giant claw that was as black as ink, with the whistling wind, grabbed it directly towards Masada. Danger. Shoji's face changed drastically. He just wanted to pull Masada to avoid it, but it affected the wound on his body. The severe pain made him miss the best time to dodge. After he recovered, the giant claw was close at hand. Oops. Seeing the black claws that had engulfed the two of them, Shoji couldn't help closing his eyes. He didn't think he could survive this blow. However, after waiting for a while, the expected pain did not come. Shoji opened his eyes in doubt and found that Masato was holding a giant magma hand high and stopped the Black Shadow's claws. Roar. The Black Shadow was a little afraid when he saw the fire, but the surrounding environment was still dim in general, and the Black Shadow, who felt threatened, while roaring, swung his paw and slammed into the giant magma hand, but he hadn't touched yet. This giant magma hand moved. In an instant, the giant hand of magma split into several streams of magma, like a thread, quickly wrapped around the Black Shadow's arm, and then surrounded his whole body, and then suddenly became dazzling. Under this dazzling red light, the surrounding trees are all reflected in red, the dark forest is like daylight, and the huge 360 body of the Black Shadow is also rapidly shrinking in unwillingness and struggle, and the body composed of shadows as unexpectedly it melted instantly like snow that met water, and finally, it completely retracted into Tokiyami's body. Call. Freed from the shackles of the shadows, Tokiyami fell free from the air. It was very timely, a flashing body lifted him and put him under a tree. After all, if Tokiyami fell straight, he would be on the ground. The lava was burned. Gasping for breath, Tokiyami's whole body seemed to be immersed in water, and the whole person looked very sluggish, as if completely collapsed. Seeing that Tokiyami was back to normal, Shoji on the side immediately recovered and rushed over immediately. Tokiyami, are you okay? Sorry, although the situation is not so good, but I have no problems. Tokiyami lowered his head slightly, feeling a little depressed. This time I really lost it to you. It's to you, otherwise I might have caused a disaster, and I was dazzled by anger. Also, Shoji, there is no problem with your arm, right? Even so, Tokiyami was still very worried about the condition of his classmates, and after Shoji listened to it, he took a look at his replica wrist. The blood has not stopped, drop by drop on the soil, blooming flowers of blood. My words, it's okay, although the wound is a bit divine, it hasn't been completely broken. Shoji's expression is a bit awkward, he seems to have forgotten to explain his quirk to his classmates. My replica wrist, what was chopped off by villains is only the duplicated part, as long as the injury is healed, it can still grow out. Let's talk about these things in the future, now is not the time to discuss leisurely. After observing it, Masato found that there was really nothing wrong with the two of them, at least they could act on their own, and said. What is the villains you encountered? Is it a man with explosive muscles all over his body? After hearing what the wife said, Tokiyami and Shoji were stunned, and then shook their heads. No, we were sneak attacked by villains. The opponent's weapon seems to be a weapon that can be used to transform at will. It is difficult to deal with, but after Tokiyami releases the dark shadow, villains doesn't know where to go. Where did it go? Shoji explained to Masato, and it seems that Bakugo and Bo are also near us. I saw an iceberg appearing in the forest not long ago, but CDEI collapsed very quickly. It seems that the two of them are together. The situation is not very good either. Bakugo and Boom are here too. Masato silently analyzed in her heart. There are only two villains fighting pussycats in the square, and the rest of the villains ambushed students in the forest. It seems that those two people are just to attract attention. Boom. Quote. Suddenly, a shocking explosion came out from the front of everyone, and the monstrous fire light interrupted Masato's thinking. Looking at the billowing smoke ahead, Masato's face looked a little ugly. Only Bakugo among the students could send out an explosion of this magnitude. However, his quirk is not very advantageous in the forest. The explosion will cause fire, resulting in hypoxia, burns and many other factors. The part where Bakugo can explode is only the palm of the hand, which is different from Masato, even the whole body is in. It doesn't matter in the sea of fire, but Bakugo won't work. So to release such a big explosion, obviously he has already ignored everything and is ready to give it a go. You two can still move. If you can, find a safe place to hide. I'm going to take a look ahead. Jung turned around with a serious expression. If the muscular man ran to Bakugo and Bo, he might not be able to beat him with the strength of the two. The strength of the muscular man is indeed extremely powerful. Let's go with you. Although I have a lot of wounds, it does not affect my combat effectiveness. Shoji quickly stood up and showed that he still had the ability to fight. Tokiyami also nodded. He just spent too much time manipulating the Black Shadow, but if there is Shoji by his side, he will no longer be afraid of the Black Shadow. Out of control. After thinking about it, Masato also agreed. After all, the ghost knows where the villains in this forest is, and a safe place is even more difficult to find. It is better to follow yourself, and your current remaining physical strength can still withstand a game of war. Then hurry up. Bakugo and Boom may be in trouble. Boom. The white bandage entangled the last gene beast and threw it severely into the ground. Mr. Aizawa put the scarf away and wrapped it around his neck in circles. Thanks to you for being here in time, Eraser. The Mandalay cat also took a sigh of relief and thanked Mr. Aizawa gratefully. That's right, just when a few people were about to be unable to hold on and were about to be consumed by the genetic beast, Aizawa-sensei appeared, and one more profession hero was added, and the battlefield instantly changed. Yaoyorozu also has 100. It took time to create a powerful weapon, and it didn't take long for the gene beast to be swallowed in the torrent of bullets. Who is this person? Villains. Seeing Tomo Chako, who was still handcuffed and fell on the ground with a smile, Aizawa-sensei asked blankly. Chapter 182 Late Reinforcements. Villains may not be considered. This girl seems to be an avid fan of Masato. Yaoyorozu's face is a bit tangled, and it is right to say that it is villains. After all, Ochako did appear with the League of Villains, but the irony is that she did not attack a few people at all, but rather the intelligence that a few people know now. I was told by Ochako that she is more like a little traitor than villains. Quote. Fans. When is Masada this kid so good? Aizawa-sensei is also speechless. As a professional hero, there are not many enthusiastic fans. How come Masada is already a loyal fan when he is in the first year of high school? Although this and Aizawa Shota do not like to be exposed to the public. It is very relevant. His classmate Mike has a large number of fans, and he interacts with fans on social software every day. Forget it, this girl looks a little weird, so let her be handcuffed like this first. Are there only these weird creatures here? Where are the people from the Alliance? Without thinking about some strange things, Mr. Aizawa asked Mandalay Cat. He already knew from Dakin that this action was completely implemented by the League of Villains. The reason is very simple. After All Might entered Shongying to teach, the highest institution that cultivated heroes, Shongying College, and his symbol of peace, these two most trusted points in society have overlapped in people's hearts. The League of Villains is now constantly creating cases that can shake this trust. Then, this anxiety will spread to all corners of the entire society. This is step by step to push the heroes to ruin. After listening to Mr. Aizawa's words, everyone present was silent, and Mandalay Cat and Tiger lowered their heads. Sorry, because of our negligence, Villains was rescued by their reinforcements. In the end, Tiger told the truth. It turns out that there are only 2 villains here. Due to the appearance of classmate Igarashi, the 2 of them were hit and seriously injured. However, when we were preparing to return to the facility, Villain's reinforcements have also arrived. The Mandalay Cat and Tiger cannot be blamed for this, it is Kurogiri who is here. Yaoyorozu Beiji added that she also had some self-blame on her face. If she had made some weapons in advance, things might not be like this. It is precisely because of the appearance of Kurogiri that these genetic beasts on the ground were brought, and then he used his quirk to take the 2 away. There were too many villains at the time, and we also have a responsibility. Okay, don't rush to take responsibility. If it's Kurogiri, you can't blame it for this. Aizawa-sensei has more comprehensive information than the people here. After the USJ incident, Shongying found out Kurogiri's information. Although he is a black house, he has been active in society before. Shongying was judged to be extremely troublesome villains. The 2 professional heroes and a few students present were required to protect themselves from harm. Stopping Kurogiri to save people is really embarrassing them. Since Igarashi has been here just now, where is his current person? After looking around, there was no sign of Masada, Mr. Aizawa asked aloud. Igarashi said he was going to support Midori Valley, and he had previously allowed students to use quirk to fight, and he asked me to inform everyone. Mandalay Cat can't help but admire a little here. A high school student can clearly see the scene at the time, and stand up to carry the big beam at a crisis. This is unimaginable in her eyes. Even when Might was a student, he didn't seem to be so capable. He is very strong. I believe he has a sense of measure. Okay, Yaoyorozu, you guys will follow me to meet the facilities first, and Mr. Brad will protect you there. Sure enough, Mrs. Aizawa didn't worry about Jungtai's safety at all. Mandalay Cat, Tiger, the rest of the students in the woods will trouble you. Leave it to us. The 2 people who were originally a little guilty, after hearing Aizawa-sensei's request, they firmly patted their chests, and then disappeared in the forest a few flashes. Yaoyorozu Hayaku Achacha and others also escorted Himiko Toga to follow the phase. The pace of Teacher Z. As for the 3 of Masada, they were already close to where Bakugo and Bakugo were. There is no need to look for the location of the 2 of them carefully, because the movement created by the 2 of them is really too big. After a while, the dazzling flames of several explosions flashed there. For flowers, it seems that these 2 people are still very energetic. The scene before him made Jung-tu relieved. Although I don't know what the situation is, at least it seems that the 2 people still have room to fight back. This is already a good result. Boom. Quote. Ha 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 ha. I can't beat that Magma kid. It's easy to beat you. There was another explosion, and along with it, there was also the voice that Masada was familiar with. Hey, it makes me easy to find. Masada's expression immediately enriched, and I didn't expect that the muscular man who slipped from his own hand actually ran to Bakugo and Bakugo. It seemed that he was still bullying 2 people. I don't know what will happen to him when he sees his expression later. 0. Thinking badly in his heart, Masada rushed out of the forest and came to a clearing. Hey, Bakugo, boom, are you okay? Just as Junta waved his hands and greeted the 2 people with their backs to him, dozens of extremely sharp blades suddenly appeared from his head, slamming into the air with a sharp sound. Beware, this man is. Behind him, Tokiyami and Shoji were about to remind, but before he could finish the words, he saw that Masada's arm quickly turned into a huge magma arm, and then swept it sideways. All the sharp knives were sinking in force. It shattered instantly with one blow, turned into fragments in the sky, and reflected light under the light of fire. This kind of trick is useless to me. After hitting the attack casually, Masada retracted his arm and walked to the side of Bakugo and Hong. Finally there are reinforcements, and they are too slow. The booming tone of a person on his back is a bit rushing. The person on his back is a Yuan field in Class B. He has inhaled poison gas and has passed out, and the right half of Boom's body has been covered by frost. It seems that the condition is not very good. Protecting a person also restricts his strength. But obviously, with the appearance of Masato, he relaxed all over. Long, Chapter 183 Spike. However, contrary to the blast, Bakugo saw Masato walking by and instantly exploded her hair. Magma B*****************. D. What are you doing here? I don't need your help. Seeing Bakugo with a fierce expression on his face, he was so upset that his self-esteem was the most incredible one he had ever seen. Well, in fact, my main purpose is not to help you, I am here to solve him. With a change of tone, Masato looked at the muscular man on the opposite side. At this time, his muscle fibers were still exposed on the surface. The huge pits on the ground were obviously his masterpieces. After hearing Masato's words, Bang also looked at Gengo's own opponent. It seems that this person has been talking about the Magma Imp, killing him and the like since the beginning. Should it be you? Ah, it should be me. Didn't he lose an arm, or he was broken by my 363? I was too lazy to say that now that the muscular man has been found, it is impossible for him to escape this time. There is no second Nomu like that to rescue him this time. It turned out to be interrupted by your fellow. But, Bakugo naturally heard the conversation between the two, and his face darkened. He gritted his teeth and squeezed these words out of his teeth. Bakugo was still thinking before, why this muscular man is so strong, and the guy hanging in the air, almost unable to fight back with the bombardment, why did he lose an arm? And the wound is still it was broken not long ago. Don't look at the previous explosions and ice walls that seem to be very cool, but the fact is that. Bakugo. Die, muscle man. You can't beat me, and you can't break my defense. Boom. Frozen in the ice with me. Sunfish. Brush and brush. The ice cubes are chopped up. The old story is over. Masato is also ready to do business, looked up at the sunfish in the sky, and looked at the muscular man with his ugly face, and moved his neck. Well, which one of you will die first? Or together? Ha ha ha. There are more people, great. More meat, more fresh flesh and blood. More wailing. Unlike the muscular man who already wanted to retreat, the person who attacked Masato in midair just now made a crazy laugh, and the undisguised killing intent in the laughter was chilling. Masato looked at him carefully at this time. This person's code name is Sunfish. At this time, he is using the sharp blade extending from his mouth to prop up his body in the air, and looking along the sharp blade, the source turned out to be his teeth. The sunfish is wearing leather tights all over the body, even the head is no exception, only a mouth is left over the whole body, which looks terrifying. Does this guy have any special hobbies? Isn't it uncomfortable to wear so tightly? Masato's tone is a bit subtle, and I feel that there is no normal person in the League of Villains. As far as the people I meet, the poisonous high school student is a person with a strong ability to talk and imagine. A muscular man is extremely self-centered. Sister Mag and Spinner were killed in seconds because they came up. Come out, but from the outside, you are not a normal person. Ochako is a sick child, and it seems to have the attributes of AST. This one in front of me is most likely a lover of Icy Mew, plus their boss, the giant infant Death Bingmu. It can be said that it is a gathering place for weirdos. Because it's over, right? What a hard work, Kurogiri mother. Don't take it lightly. This guy uses the quirk with the terrain very cleverly. The most troublesome thing is that he has rich combat experience and knows how to maximize his quirk. Seeing that Masato didn't seem to put the two in his eyes, he hurriedly said that he was killed by him just now. Let me taste your flesh and blood. At this moment, the sunfish also launched an attack, and the slender blade quickly extended from its mouth, constantly branching, and finally turned into an airtight blade net. Coming, Tokiyami reminded him from behind, just to concentrate and prepare his body carefully to deal with this falling from the sky, covering the entire field of vision. Even Bakugo put away that stinky face at this time. It seems that he did not dare to underestimate the attack on the sunfish. The only person in the field with a relaxed expression on his face was Masato. Masato was still smiling on his face, as if mocking the sunfish's irresponsibility. Surface of flame. Pushing away Bakugo and Boom beside him, the huge magma giant reappeared, nearly 20 meters tall, so that the position of the sunfish suddenly fell short, only reaching the magma giant's chest. Hiss. The blade in the sunfish's mouth was completely blocked by Iwanosuke's body. The quirk that he used to be unfavorable in the past was actually blocked, causing the sunfish to make a strange sound. You must know the blades in his mouth, but even the metal can be cut. But he soon discovered something more terrifying. Under the erosion of magma, these blades were rapidly losing their original characteristics. Potholes appeared on the blades, and black smoke appeared repeatedly. The guy who pretends to be a ghost and dare not meet people, just get down for me honestly. There were a few palms of magma the size of sunfish raised high, and then fell suddenly. The huge wind pressure caused the surrounding trees to bend to one side. Seeing the giant magma hand overwhelming on his forehead, the sunfish struggled and wanted to escape from this place. However, the blade in his mouth was indeed stuck in the body of the magma giant, and he couldn't pull it out at all. He could only watch the giant magma hand enlarge in his own eyes. Boom. Just like shooting a mosquito, the sunfish did not have the slightest ability to resist in the face of this absolute gap in size. It was directly photographed on the ground and knocked out a huge hole. The blade was also broken into fragments at the same moment. 4.8. At this time, the sunfish had turned white eyes and foamed at the mouth, but it seemed to stand up. Masato frowned in Iwanosuke and pressed the palm of the magma with his backhand. Boom. There was another loud noise. The pothole on the ground was already filled with magma at this time, and the sunfish lost consciousness under the burning of the deep heat. I pinched him with my fingers, and threw the sunfish to the side of Boom. He was too in contact with the form of Iwa no Susa. After all, maintaining this trick would take a huge amount of energy. Come on, help him cool down, don't freeze to death. Masada showed a smile that he thought was kind, and said to Boom. In just a few seconds, the sunfish chasing Bakugo and the violently beaten sunfish looked like this, but in the eyes of the muscular man who hadn't realized what happened on the side, this smile was like hell's beckoning. Chapter 184 Vulnerable. Hey, isn't it? The sunfish was killed in one move. The muscular man has an incredible face at this time. You must know that the sunfish's quirk is very powerful. Looking at the entire league of villains, his strength is also high. At least the muscular man thinks that he and himself should be on the same level. I also wanted to delay the sunfish for a while, so that I could escape, but I didn't expect that my steps hadn't started yet, and the sunfish fell on the rock. In the pulp, Boom also looked incredulous, while using the frozen quirk to extinguish the remaining magma on the sunfish. I didn't expect to defeat the powerful enemy that made me only able to resist in the magma giant just now. Is this his new move? Although I saw it from a distance during training, compared with seeing it up close, the impact is not a little bit worse. In front of this 20-meter Hyenji Suzuo, Hong only felt that he was so small, as if the other party could wipe himself out with a light movement of his toe. That was an incomparable power. 23 Bakugo clenched his fists and felt a deep sense of powerlessness in his heart. He is also an outstanding person at this age, he can see the gap between each other more clearly than others, and that can't be caught up by hard work alone. Innate talent, in the current, quirk, society, has a huge impact on an individual's future. Masada also glanced at the different expressions on the faces of several people, and didn't say anything, because what he said now can't eliminate the thoughts in everyone's hearts. This kind of thing can only be forgotten by time. Then, it's you next. As if the hunter was staring at the prey, Jung was staring at the muscular man too tightly. This time he would not be careless, and this time he had no reinforcements. The muscular man felt that he was weak like a lamb to be slaughtered, and the muscle fibers on his body were quickly growing out, making his body size double, as if it could bring him some sense of security. Don't think you can kill me so easily, kid. The muscular man had a fierce complexion and roared inwardly. However, there was no cold sweat on his face, and there was only a funny look on his arm. This expression was really not convincing. Yao, you mean you can defeat me or not? The squeaking of the knuckles creaked, and Masada showed a presumptuous smile. Don't stop yourself and you will die. Heaven dog. The maximum speed that can be increased at the moment erupted under his feet, and Masada's figure instantly disappeared from everyone's eyes, leaving only a whirlwind in place, spinning quickly with dust. The muscular man only felt that there was a flower in front of him. Within a blink of an eye, Masada appeared in front of his body. However, even under this physique gap, the muscular man still trembled in his heart. It's not like a muscular man who has such a huge mass of muscles. Although Masada's muscles are strong, they have flowing lines. Under the symmetrical body, what is hidden is the explosive power that has been suppressed for a long time. Damn it, don't underestimate me. As if seeing a touch of disdain in Masada's eyes, the muscular man's brain instantly ignited anger, and the muscle fibers like tentacles swelled again, constantly waving outside his body, as if he was about to firmly entangle Masada. It's useless. Seeing the ridiculous counterattack method of the muscular man, Jung snorted too much, and countless magma suddenly surged out of his body. Can't get close to the owner of the magma cloak. Even so, there is nothing to do with the magma kid in front of him. The muscular man's heart is sinking constantly. I am afraid that I will explain here today. But because the beast was still fighting, as if he had made up his mind, the muscular man's eyes dazzled, and he actually gave up his defense and concentrated all the muscle fibers on his body on the only remaining arm. It seemed that he wanted to use this. It's a decision. The arms that were originally thick are now extremely huge, and have far exceeded the body shape of the muscular man himself. The huge weight makes the expression of the muscular man a little distorted. The right arm slapped up. Die to me, kid. Masada saw the current movements of the muscular man, and the disdain in his eyes became even greater. He knew that he could elementally avoid such attacks, and gave up all defenses. His reason was swallowed, and now he is no longer worthy of being called an opponent. He can only be said to be a mad beast. Although you can use elementalization to dodge, and then counterattack, Masada obviously has no plans for this, and has no intention of retreating at all. Instead, he will make the red on his arm even more, obviously preparing to use absolute power to destroy the muscular man. In the widening eyes and nervous mood of the people around, two arms of unequal sizes collided together. There is no sound effect of the explosion, and there is no impact wave of 363 generated by the collision. It is like a soldering iron encountering butter. It was completely scorched and then turned into fly ash. Boom. In the muscular man's horrified eyes, Jung did not hesitate to punch his bright red fist in his abdomen. The scorching heat instantly penetrated his skin, and the hot lava was released from his fist, ruthlessly devouring the muscular man. Vitality. After a while, the muscular man's head tilted to the side, his body lost his strength, and the whole person hung on Jung Tai's arm. Where is Bakugo? Just when Masada pulled out his arms and turned around to greet a few people to leave, he suddenly heard Tokiyami's exclamation. Turning his head, he found that Bakugo had indeed disappeared on the field. What happened? As he walked forward, he frowned and asked, just as he killed the sunfish, he still saw Bakugo standing on the edge of the woods. How could a living person disappear in a blink of an eye? Boom was also confused. He heard Bakugo's voice just now, and he didn't find villains at all, and he suddenly became nervous. Could it be that there is a villains that he and others have not found in secret? Hiding. Chapter 185 Elementalization. Well, although there is a slight deviation from the plan, I got it somehow. While everyone was anxiously shouting Bakugo's name, on a branch not far from them, a man with a cane, white mask and top hat was standing on it, throwing a circle in his hand. Ball. He is one of the members of the League of Villains, nicknamed CONPRESS. Compression quirk is to compress the touched creatures or objects into a glass bead. Just now he sneaked a sneak attack on the last row of Bakugo in the Team NS. This magical quirk, coupled with his fascinating figure, caused everyone to call him magician, more, and he was also a professional entertainer for a period of time. The magician who was about to leave suddenly made a click sound from the branches under his feet, and it seemed that he couldn't hold his weight. There. This sudden movement naturally attracted the attention of everyone, and the reaction of the boom was very fast. I saw cold air quickly rising from his feet, turning into cones of ice, and attacking the big tree where the magician was standing at a very fast speed. Go and freeze everything along the way. In the blink of an eye, this big tree was completely frozen into an ice sculpture. However, at the moment when the attack was launched, the magician leapt high and came into the air, looking down at the people below, and said coldly, "Today's children are forced to choose the so-called correct values. I don't want to see it. What I am doing now is to correct this point. Why stop me? It seems that this person is the clue to Bakugo's disappearance. Let's maim him first." Different from the uncertainty of the others, Masato raised his fists directly and punched lava fists at the magician in the sky. It seemed that he had no plans to catch the other party alive. Hey, this is too scary, isn't it? I can't pick it up with my hands. Although the words seemed scary in his mouth, his tone was not panicked at all. I saw the magician took out 2 glass beads from his pocket and threw them toward the bottom of him, followed by a burst of smoke. When they burst open, the 2 round beads turned into a large number of stones, and with these stones, the magician stepped lightly on it and quickly escaped towards the distance. Do you think that only you can fly? Just grabbing people from under his hands in an open manner, Masato couldn't be regarded as invisible. His legs immediately turned into lava, pushing his body and chasing him in the direction of the magician. Boom. Suddenly, a stream of blue flame rushed straight from the ground to the sky, swallowing Masato's figure completely. Is there any villains? The 3 of Hung, Shoji and Tokiyami, who were chasing from the ground, also saw this scene and rushed up. They saw a thin man facing the sky with his palms, constantly releasing flames. It was Chaba. At that moment, Bang only felt that the person in front of him was a little familiar, but at this time there was no time for him to think about it. Masato was still under the attack of villains. Raising his left hand, the scarlet fire wave swept his half of his body, and then screamed at Cha-kun, but Cha-kun still looked lazy, stretched out his other hand, and a blue flame appeared. In the palm of his hand, it quickly became larger, and a blue flame that was not at all inferior to the boom burst out. The 2 flames collided together, sending out a big impact, but there was no evenly matched scene. The form turned out to be one-sided existence. The flame of the explosion was not as good as the blue flame of Cha-kun, and it was directly suppressed back. What? The 2 people behind the blast were naturally also affected by the seedlings. They screamed in pain in the high-temperature blue flames. Seeing this, they could only quickly release the ice wall, which was able to block Cha-kun's offensive. And Masato also rushed out of the blue flame at this time. He did not receive any injuries, but he felt a little hot. From this, it can be imagined that the temperature of the flame must be 1 level higher than that of Hong. Oh, is this Igarashi Masato? I am not your opponent is them. Cha-kun naturally noticed Masato, because Masato is now swooping down quickly, with a move from the sky to subdue him. Roar. A roar attracted Masato's attention, and only an ice blue Nomu emerged from a black hole that suddenly appeared beside Chappie. Nomu again, do you think this kind of thing can stop me? Seeing that it was just a Nomu, Jung didn't care at all, and still rushed downward without losing his momentum, as if he didn't put Nomu in his eyes. HMPH, right, you seem to have never failed, right? I wonder if you can continue to be so rampant today. Seeing Masato's appearance, Tukun made a meaningful smile at the corner of his mouth, as if mocking Masato's overpowering, or lamenting that his life was too smooth. Nomu, loudly ordered Nomu, and this ice blue Nomu also quickly stood in front of Cha-kun, opened his arms and made a wrestling posture, as if to stop Masato. Trash fish, get out of me. The magma in his hand made the surrounding blue flames coated with a layer of red. Masato's legs pushed wildly, giving himself more power, and hitting Nomu's body like a missile. Boom. The scorching fist melted Nomu's skin, but Nomu had no reaction at all. Good king is good. It turned out to be relying on his strong physique. After drawing a deep gully, he abruptly resisted Masato. The impact. The Masato who was about to kick Nomu away, suddenly found that Nomu's 2 sturdy arms hugged herself firmly. When he tried to break free, he found that his chest was suffocated. This Nomu, his strength was so great that he directly pressed Masato to his body. However, Masato is not without any way. In the face of such villains, only elementalization is required. After elementalization, not only can you get rid of the shackles of villains, but also can kill villains through magma. It can be said to be one type and 2 use. He skillfully controlled his body to turn into magma, but after 5 seconds passed, his body was still flesh and blood. What's the situation? Chapter 186 Angry Wife. At this time, Jungtai was really a little panicked. For a long time, he was not afraid to dare to yell at villains. The capital came from elementalization. It can be said that as long as the elemental incarnation is present, his celestial body is not a place of defeat, and at this time his biggest guarantee is no longer valid, and he can't help but start to panic. What's wrong? Did you find that you can't use quirk anymore? Cha-kun rushed up with a flame and forced Tokiyami and Shoji back, and smiled disdainfully as he looked at Masada's flushed face because of being imprisoned by Nomu. After all, it's just a kid who relies on the power of the quirk to do whatever he wants. This Nomu was made specifically to deal with you, and you are proud of it. What? The 3 people next to him were shocked when they heard it. They didn't expect the weight of Masada in the League of Villains to be so big. They made a Nomu alone to restrict Masada. You must know that the last person who received this treatment was All Might. I was holding my arm too hard, and I was full of shock when I heard Cha-kun's words. I originally thought it was because of myself that I couldn't be elementalized, but I didn't expect it to be the weirdness of this Nomu. Give up 363, this Nomu quirk can invalidate the quirk of people you come into contact with. You should be familiar with it. After all, the famous Eliminate Hero's Eraser is your head teacher. So it turns out that Masada also discovered at this time. She originally turned into a magma arm, but after breaking through Nomu's skin, it also changed back to its original appearance, and the hot magma on the arm has cooled down. When it came down, it turned into black volcanic rock. Not only that, but Masada also felt a chill, which was constantly invading her body, and the source of this chill seemed to be Nomu, who hugged herself tightly. But not only can it eliminate the quirk, but also the icy quirk. It really is just for me. Although this Nomu, unlike Aizawa-sensei, can eliminate the villain's quirk by just watching with your eyes, but requires physical contact, but it is already very tricky. After all, 99% heroes relies on quirk when fighting, even Masada is no exception. And he also has this ice quirk, which is obviously to prevent him from not being in contact with the CDEI-2, and using the cold to restrict his magma. I have to say that Shigenmu was very thoughtful this time, and it was completely the same as when he was in USJ. It seems that there is a young girl named Yaoyorozu Momo in your class who has a good relationship with you. Is it your young couple? Seeing that Masada had no ability to resist, Cha-kun also put down his vigilance, and waited for Nomu to exhaust his strength, and then strangled Masada alive. At this time, he also wanted to shake Masada's spirit. It seems that Kurogiri has sent a lot of genetic beasts there. I wonder if she can survive. Are you going to hell to wait for her first, or should she go down to wait for you first? Don't worry, she is also one of our goals this time and won't let her run away. With a cheerful smile on his face, Cha-kun didn't care about Masada's feelings, and frantically provoked his nerves beside him. And boom, Tokiyami, Shoji tried their best to attack him, but a masked man who appeared suddenly blocked all the attacks. The person who wrapped his whole body in black cloth, his speech and actions were fragmented, he kept talking to himself, and seemed to be in conflict with himself all the time. This kid's quirk is very similar to you, Chabby. What nonsense, he obviously uses ice cubes. I like this little crow-headed kid, it looks very distinctive, that's weird. This inhuman appearance is simply unreasonable. The above words are from him alone, which makes people wonder if he has schizophrenia. In fact, this man named Twice does have 2 diametrically opposite personalities because of quirk. His quirk is very simple. Twice, it is a simple power that can increase any object from 1 to 2. This object also includes people. Cha-kun, who attacked Mr. Aizawa before, was created by him. The clone he created has the same quirk as the main body, but it will dissipate after receiving a certain amount of damage. The most fatal shortcoming is that the clone has an independent thinking personality, and Twice has been unable to distinguish whether it is the main body or the clone for a long time. It has imagined another, I, and formed the current dual personality. Regardless of his quirk, Twice's close-up strength is extremely good, and he also has an extremely strong spit skill. The continuous trash talk in his mouth continues to harass the 3 people's hearts, making people unable to calm down and confront the enemy. Masada's arms are already full of blue veins, and they are completely supported by the physical strength that has been exercised over the years. It is reasonable to say that the ordinary Nomu can't have his strength, but this one in front of him is obviously physical. It's also specially made, maybe some animal genes have been mixed in. It's amazingly powerful, and Masada is not an opponent. Oh, there seems to be a girl named Uraraka Ochako who still lives with you now. Ha ha ha, what should I really say about you? Obviously I am going to be a hero S, but I am ambivalent with 2 people at the same time. Unclear, is this really good? Hero S must have a positive review. Cha-kun's investigation of Masada seems to be very detailed. Even the people around Masada know it clearly. It stands to reason that Masada and Cha-cha cohabitation is only known within Shongying, and it has not flowed out to the outside world, and this time in the League. A villain's ability to know the location of the accommodation is also weird. Putting the 2 things together makes people a little bit scared to think about it. I want you to die. Masada now has red eyes like a beast, and growls in a low voice. Anger rose in his chest. The heart is cold. Yaoyorozu, who has been with herself for nearly 10 years, has become a person in Masada's heart that cannot be parted from. and although he has only known each other for a year, he has brought a lot of TNT to Masada. My life is in danger, but I can only do nothing here. This feeling of weakness is the first time I feel it. Really unforgivable. The bloodshot eyes looked at Cha-kun coldly, and there seemed to be lava flowing in his eyes, and the flames were beating violently on them, constantly impacting Cha-kun's spirit. For some reason, Cha-kun, whose expression has not changed, actually felt a trace of fear. It was an emotion from the deepest part of his heart, which made his words stop abruptly and took a step backward. HMPH, now what you say is useless, Nomu, kill him. Chapter 187 Overbearing Momentum. Hearing Dabi's order, Nomu naturally executed it faithfully, using his hands even stronger, as if he was constantly tightening an iron hoop, to crush Masada's bones. However, Masada didn't realize it. There was only a strong anger in her eyes. Even if the bones all over her body burst out, she didn't care at all, just staring at Cha-kun firmly. Haha, this kid won't be stupid, right? No, you are stupid. Twice still had enough energy to observe the situation in Chappie when dealing with the attack of the three people. When he saw that Masada seemed to give up struggling, he mocked. In the next life, stop being a hero. Cha-kun also returned to his previous indifferent appearance, put his hands back in his pocket, ready to look at this new star known as the hero's world, and end the last part of his life. Justice. Boom. Tokiyami and Shoji also shouted anxiously at this time. They met each other and rushed out in three ways. The ice wall rising from the ground, the six arms that waved out of the phantom, and the black shadow that was about to be released again, attacked Nomu from three different directions, past. However, the ice wall melted into snow under the blue flames of Chakan, and the six arms did nothing under the airtight block of twice. The black shadow also retracted under the shining of the flame, letting Tokiyami do anything. Shouting to dare not come out. Give up, none of you can keep this kid today anymore. Seeing that this time the most important goal was about to be completed, Tukun's face showed a contemptuous smile. Hateful. Sweat appeared on Boom's head. Although his appearance is cold, his heart is extremely important to his friends, and one of his friends is about to be killed in front of his eyes, which makes his teeth clenched. Up, however, the shouts of classmates in the distance. Cha-kun's ridicule, a sense of oppression from the body. Masada can't hear and feel it at all. He only has the fallen figure of Yayorozu Baihei Cha-cha in his mind. There is still blood at the corner of his mouth, and his eyes are full of doubts, as if he is asking himself why he will not save them, and himself he knelt down on the side in embarrassment, with scars on his face. How could Lousy fall here? Endless despair, unwillingness, anger, various complex and deep emotions are entangled, swelling in Masada's heart, causing him to fall into complete madness in an instant, and at this moment, a little light carries a moment. A terrifying aura suddenly leapt from the depths of Masada's soul, and in the darkness, it seemed that a wild beast rushed straight. The collision broke through all the shackles and landed in this woods. Air current, or high wind, it seemed that something violently blew everyone's cheeks, and time seemed to stand still. In the eyes of everyone, the world seemed to have become black and white at this moment. What happened? Bang only felt that something had exploded in his head, making his mind groggy for an instant. Looking back, Tokiyami and Shoji fell directly to the ground, lying there motionless. The chappie, who was the first to bear the brunt, was even more unbearable, as if being hit by Wandiao Mountain, he desperately stayed awake, but still as if drunk, he couldn't stand still. Twice's reaction was similar to his. They also took a few steps backwards and fell to the ground. The two personalities kept talking nonsense, as if they had lost control of their bodies. Did this kid do it? Enduring fatigue and propping up his eyelids, Tukun looked at Masada, who was still bound by Nomu in his body. At this time, there seemed to be no human emotion in his eyes, and a terrifying aura was constantly rising from his body. Out, the coercion overwhelming everything in the world. Get out of my way. Nomu hasn't been affected, and is still fulfilling his real name faithfully, but the current Masada is different from before. The huge power surging in the body caused Masada to directly prop up his body with both hands, then gritted his teeth and directly hit Nomu's exposed brain. Roar. The most fragile part of Nomu's body was the exposed brain. The vital part was hit hard, and he immediately let out a painful roar, and his original forceful arms slackened for a moment. For flowers. However, this moment is enough time for Masada to do a lot of things, and the amazing power burst out from Masada's hands instantly, turning into a strong impact, and instantly bombarding Nomu's chest. Not every Nomu has a quirk like shock absorption. Just like an out-of-the-box artillery, Nomu was blasted away by Masada in an instant. Boom. He slammed into the big tree, and a huge sound resounded throughout the woods. After breaking 3 thick trees, Nomu shook his head and got up again. Bear. Freed from Nomu's shackles, Magma emerged from Masada again. Unlike the past, the magma turned into golden yellow this time, and the dazzling light simply made people unable to face it. Turned to ashes in the magma for Lousy. Masada, bathed in magma, stretched out his hands as if embracing the whole world, and then stepped on the ground with his right foot. In an instant, where Nomu fell, magma rose from the sky, like a magma column that penetrates the sky and the earth. The golden magma swallowed Nomu in an instant, even if he was still using his insignificant cold to resist, but in front of this violent magma, this bit of cold can't even calm people down. The magma column did not spread outside, but the terrifying high temperature instantly turned into a hot wind, igniting the weeds on the ground and igniting the nearby forest, and everything trembles in the high temperature. And Nomu, in the final roar, turned into flying ash. Hey, this is different from what he said. This kid is a bit perverted. Chakun's legs are still a little trembling now. This is caused by the shock of Jungta's aura and he has not fully recovered, and after Jungta has solved Nomu, he also turned his body to him. Are you ready to turn into ashes? Without any scent of fireworks, she looked at Chakun with wide-eyed eyes indifferently. Taken here is not a clone created by Twice. If you die here, it will be a real D. Chapter 188 The Defeated League of Villains. After nearly a year of accumulation, Masada is only one step away from his breakthrough. Only the last little bit, a little pressure between life and death. After being restrained by Nomu, and being stimulated by the tea-pie with Yayorozu Hayakwa Cha-Cha, the emotions deep in Masada's heart broke out. Having been pushed to the limit, amidst unwillingness and regret, his own power has finally exploded. The golden-yellow magma cloak appeared on his shoulders, and the lava flow wrapped around his body made the upper body look extremely majestic, and the muscles seemed to be a thick punch, which looked extremely powerful. Slowly exhaling, a flame-like air current gushed out, instantly burning the withered grass on the ground. This feeling, shaking his arm, Masada felt the full vitality in his body, with a smile on his face. It's really 363. Chakun's complexion is not very good. He thinks that in terms of physical strength, he can't compare with Nomu at all, but that Nomu, who has no resistance in Masada's hands, becomes fly ash. I am afraid that I am even more unwilling. And looking at the other person's body wrapped in magma, you shouldn't be afraid of your own flames, but if you get a little bit of that golden magma, then the problem will be troublesome. First solve these two little mice. The eyes suddenly drenched, and Masada's smile disappeared from her face, replaced by a cold winter-like anger. He clenched a fist with his right hand and recovered it to his waist. When he stepped on his feet and twisted his waist, the golden lava on his fist flew towards Chakun like a beam of light. Oops! The dazzling light in front of him made Chakun couldn't help but raise his eyes, and the scorching heat from the pavement made him want to leave this place immediately. However, the legs that were still a little weak at the moment were unable to get it out with a trace of strength, making his whole person set in place. In the end, I underestimated this kid. If you didn't talk nonsense with him and killed Masada directly, maybe what you see now is a different situation, right? At the moment when a person is facing death, he can always think of many things, and his thinking will be particularly clear. This is the case of Tukun. Thinking of his rebellious life, he only has peace and happiness in his heart, and he glances at it. There seemed to be a sigh of relief, and Chakun slowly closed his eyes. Just when Chakun had closed his eyes and was about to usher in his end, a black hole suddenly appeared in front of him, allowing the golden magma rays to be completely absorbed. Kurogiri. This familiar way of playing, naturally only Kurogiri can do it. The black hole slowly rotates, and finally turns into a twisted black mist, and then two long and narrow golden eyes light up at the position of the head. It is the League. The old mother of villains, Kurogiri. You dare to hurt 100, let me die. From Chakun's mouth, I learned that Kurogiri released a large number of genetic beasts to attack Yayorozu Hayako Cha-Cha, which means that the life and death of the two are unknown, and the culprit is Kurogiri in front of him. The anger in Masada's heart is directed at Kurogiri. Release the past. What's the matter? Isn't it possible that the trade Nomu is not the opponent of this kid? Kurogiri hurriedly moved his body away, able to escape the attack, and then yelled at Dabi. I said, it's me who should be yelling. How did you collect your information? I almost died here. Nomu became ashes directly under this kid's hand. Chakun, who had escaped from the dead, had a face full of joy of being rescued at this time, but his mouth was not forgiving at all. Hearing Kurogiri's questioning, he directly pushed back. In fact, this is also Chakun exaggerating the fact. Just now, Masada relied on a temporary breakthrough to defeat Nomu so easily. If you change to normal, it is estimated that it will take a lot of effort. After all, Nomu's quirk is really too much. Against him, Kurogiri did not speak. His estimate of Masada's strength was only learned from the sports festival and the hero's killer incident. During this period of time, he is really not sure whether Masada has become stronger, so he does not have it in his heart. Replied with confidence, Chakun. Don't say these things for now, and quickly evacuate. The main goal this time seems to be unfinished, but somehow Bakugo has been caught. If you don't leave, you may be left here by this kid. Using his disgusting quirk to constantly deal with Masada, Kurogiri quickly said that Twice had been sent away by him through the portal, and the unidentified muscle man and sunfish in the distance could not be taken care of. Because he is already in danger under Masada's hands. Understood. Realizing that only relying on himself and Kurogiri would not be Masada's opponents at this time, Tukun also nodded, then his hands were facing down, and countless blue flames were suddenly ejected, which instantly separated everyone. Don't try to escape. However, Masada didn't care about this, and rushed directly into the blue flame, not planning to let a few people go. For Masada, the blue high-temperature flame is no different from taking a warm bath. It can't be an obstacle to Masada at all. At best, it can only block the line of sight. However, it was too late at this time. At the moment when Chakun burst into flames, Kurogiri had already activated the quirk in advance and opened a black hole. At this time, half of Chappie's body had entered the black hole. Damn it, how could you let you go so easily? Leave me. Seeing that it was impossible to stop the black hole with just footsteps, the golden lava wrapped around Masada's body separated instantly and shot at Chakun's body like a sharp arrow. Nani. Unexpectedly, Masada could catch up. Dabi's face was full of surprise. Seeing the lava that was already close at hand, he panicked and drilled into the black hole. However, even so, Taken was still a step slower, and a leg was blown by the magma before it could enter the black hole, but fortunately, thanks to inertia, the body successfully escaped by 4.8, and the black hole was completely entered in Chakun's body. In an instant, it closed immediately, letting the remaining magma flow empty. Shout, is there only one leg left? Looking at the black smoke in the open space, the thighs that have been burned are almost the same. Masada's expression is not very good. If the villains cannot be completely destroyed, then the League of Villains will definitely have a comeback. Boom, can you still act? Shoji, who had fainted on the ground, picked it up on his back, and asked too. It's okay, but my head is a little dizzy. Holding his head with a boom also helped Tokiyami. Tokiyami has regained consciousness for a while, but it is still a bit difficult to act alone. You have to go to the hundreds of them as soon as possible, don't get into trouble. Chapter 189 First thing to do. Masaru didn't know that Aizawa-sensei had successfully supported Yayorozu Hyakwa-cha-cha, so now it is like an arrow. In fact, the two have already rested in the camp. Great, don't you have any injuries? After returning to the camp, I learned that the two of them were in the bedroom right now, and they pushed open the bedroom door in a hurry. In the room, seeing Junta suddenly breaking into the door, Yayorozu was stunned, but he reacted quickly and pursed his lips. Don't worry, I don't have any serious problems. I just have some skin injuries. The same is true for Cha-cha. She went back to the room as soon as I bandaged her. What about villains? Was it repelled? 23. With Masada's temperament, able to appear here, the wise Yayorozu quickly guessed the truth of the matter. Well, although the League of Villains retreated, Bakugo was captured by them. Masada's mood was a little low at this time, because he was disturbed by Tubi's sudden attack, which caused the magician to escape every day, and he had a certain sense of guilt about it. Yayorozu felt a little uncomfortable after hearing it in Baeksan. After all, he was a classmate who got along day and night. Although Bakugo had a bad temper and always cursed people, he still looked like a face at every turn, but in general he was still a good boy. Looking at Feng Chen's wife, Yayorozu pursed his lips, and said, that. Masada looked at Yayorozu who was sitting on the bed, and was a little suspicious of his ears. Quote ? Quote. Jung was too stunned, and there was a moment of blankness in his mind. Didn't you come to visit the injury by yourself? It is necessary to take off your clothes to visit the injury. This is not so good, right? It's like the kind of cabbage that has been raised for 16 years and finally be able to pick it. If you don't, how can I apply medicine to you? Yayorozu explained. Look at your body, the small wounds are a little bit bruised, don't apply the medicine and be careful to leave dark wounds. That's it. In the end, I think too much. Just rub the medicine. Speaking of the world's medical technology, the development is really rapid, such as the kind of skin trauma. As long as the special potion is applied, it will be healed in a few days, or it will not leave scars. This is simply the gospel for those who love beauty. There are indeed some wounds on Masada. After all, he can't completely maintain the elementalization of the moment. Some small injuries are definitely inevitable, and he suffered a lot of internal injuries when fighting Nomu. I didn't think it before. Now that I calmed down, I felt some long-lost pain. He tore off the cloth that could be called clothes for the time being in a broken body, and when he was bending down too much, Yayorozu's voice came. Ahem, I'm a bit thirsty. 367 Masada coughed dryly, making the atmosphere a little less embarrassing. I'll get you water. Yayorozu breathed a sigh of relief, stood up and walked out of the door quickly, and went to the hall to pour water. The revolution has not yet succeeded, comrades still need to work hard. I don't know if it was an illusion, but I felt that the bruises in my abdomen seemed to have subsided a bit, and the faint pain that had been a little bit relieved. The room suddenly quieted down, and the fatigue left after the previous wars broke out in an instant. The mentally and physically exhausted Masada, regardless of the dust on her body, directly lay on the soft chuang, and her eyes closed. Fell asleep. Chapter 190 Back to school. I was sleeping very well this time. He was too tired to wake up from sleep due to hunger until 10 o'clock the next day. He opened the door and found that everyone was sitting in the hall of the camp. All the classmates in Class A kept their heads low and said nothing. Some of them even had red eyes, apparently showing signs of crying. Rubbing his sleepy eyes, Masada saw Mr. Aizawa stand up and greeted him. Oh, I finally woke up. Okay, hurry up and pack my things and get ready to go back to school. Have you been waiting for me? Masada felt a little embarrassed to let so many people wait for him, but he did slept very deep last night and did not hear any movement outside. Well, after all, Masada, you are considered to be the hero of last night, and we are still waiting for this. Kirishima forced a smile on his face, and said half-jokingly with Masada, wanting to enliven the somewhat dead atmosphere here, but it didn't seem to be of much use. Masada also knows why this happened. After all, plus herself, there are only 19 students here, and the one who is less is naturally Bakugo who was arrested last night. Lugu's face is now full of unbelievable expressions, even his pupils feel a little loose. His childhood sweetheart was taken away by villains, and now his life and death are unknown, but he has not done anything. Let him have a trace of hatred for himself. Bang is also clutching his knees tightly. He thinks that Bakugo was taken abducted as part of his responsibility. After all, Last night, if he had discovered the existence of a magician earlier, perhaps Bakugo would not have been attacked. Moreover, Masada has blocked most of the attacks of villains, and he obviously has a good chance of leaving villains completely, but because of the lack of strength and lack of experience, he can only watch. With villains running away every day, he didn't even make a fruitful attack in the end. For Shongying's classmates, the battle of staying in the forest was a complete failure. Among the 41 classmates who participated in the dormitory, 4 lost consciousness due to inhalation of the poisonous gas, and were dying. There were 11 serious and minor injuries. There was also a missing person, Bakugo. It seems that there are not too many injured people, but this is almost all of Masada's credit. Last night, Masada was almost non-stop running on various battlefields, constantly fighting against villains, almost by himself. The power defeated the vast majority of villains, which is why he was called British male by Kirishima just now. In the professional hero S, although the Mandalay cat and the tiger were not seriously injured because of the support of Masada at the time, the puppet cat was not found until the end, and finally only found a large number in the depths of the forest. Bloodstains, and traces of battle. Correspondingly, in villains, 3 prisoners were also arrested. All 3 of them were also dying by being beaten by Masada. Fortunately, the police came in time and saved their lives. They can be further attacked. Ask. The rest of the villains were all teleported away by Kurogiri and disappeared without a trace. On the way back to school, everyone still looked groggy, even Yaoyorozubai was no exception. She still blamed Kurogiri for saving people under the nose of her and others. Although Masada has been enlightening her, but it only played a small role. What's the matter? Why are there so many people at the school gate? When I returned to school, it was almost noon. At this time, a large number of media reporters gathered at the door of Shongying, holding various cameras and squatting outside the gates of the school. People swarmed up and surrounded him, as if they didn't stop asking for a bit of news. Even the bus was surrounded by them, and it was difficult to move. Fortunately, Shongying dispatched security forces and directly opened a passage for the school bus with his body, allowing the students to enter the school gate. The reporter is such a terrifying creature. It's like a jackal that smells the scent of meat. You can't hide anything from them. In the cafeteria, Masada, who swallowed food and supplemented the huge energy consumed last night, said to Yaoyorozu, who was also eating frantically, but eating better than him. After all, this time Shongying has made such a big omission. It can even be said to be a scandal. The media will not care about you. It must be how to attract attention. Food is indeed the best medicine to cure pain. Yaoyorozu's sense of self-blame at this time has faded a lot. You can already see these media reports on your mobile phone. It's not that you caught the 3 villains. I don't know how they will belittle Shongying. How are the injured people? They should have all been treated, right? There was no poisoned person in Class A. Except for Green Valley, the injuries of the rest were not serious. And Green Valley had already undergone emergency treatment last night. When I arrived at school today, I didn't even have time to eat. I went to the recovery girl. He may be the person in the class who knows the place most. Well, it's just you. Don't you really need to go to the infirmary? Yesterday's injury was quite serious, right? Cha-Cha looked at him with some worry. After falling asleep yesterday, she and Yaoyorozu visited him in the bedroom, but seeing his tired body and heavy breathing, they didn't wake him up. Although Masada looked like there was nothing serious, the bloodstains and bruises on her body still made this simple little girl a little distressed. Ah, my wound is completely healed. Rolling up the sleeves, Masada showed her wound to the 2 people on the opposite side. Good Wang Zhao. There was another scratch there yesterday, but now the skin and flesh that were turned up have healed together, and there is only one left. There is a faint mark, and in one day, even this scar will disappear completely. And the bruise on the chest has almost subsided. Masada's current recovery ability is already incredible. If it weren't for Quirk's sake, it might have been sliced and studied by crazy doctors. After eating, the 3 of them slowly walked back to the classroom. Shongying did not arrange classes today, but for the sake of everyone's safety, he did not let the students go home first, but was sent home by the teacher after school. Well, Cha-Cha, you go back first, I have something to say to Masada. When he was about to arrive in the classroom, Yaoyorozubai suddenly said to Cha-Cha, and then he took the arm of Jungtai and dragged him to a corner. This. Chapter 191 Extraordinary Meeting. While everyone in the class was worried about Bakugo's situation, the teachers in the office also held an emergency meeting. It is really embarrassing to be attacked by villains during the stay together to deal with the battle with villains. Mr. Principal sat on the main seat with a serious expression, and his usual smooth and soft hair seemed to explode because of his inner anger. It now seems that we have been underestimating villains before. Villains' future activities may become more and more frequent. It has become a sign that they have started this to destroy Hero S. The war for the purpose of society. Sitting next to Mr. Principal, Mr. Midnight also expressed his opinion. Even if we can correctly understand the status quo, it is difficult to prevent the sudden attack of villains, and it is still such frequent actions. After All Might was born, such organized criminals have almost completely disappeared. Don't forget, All Might is the main goal of the League of Villains. Their original purpose is to destroy All Might. Teacher Mike patted the table and said loudly, with a little excitement, to put it bluntly, we were unknowingly paralyzed by peaceful daily life. From the moment we thought, there is still time to prepare, Villain S367 has already launched their attack. The topic suddenly turned to All Might, and everyone couldn't help looking at him. That's right, All Might was sitting in this conference room at this time. Of all the people here, perhaps the most self-blame and the most frustrated is All Might himself. From the beginning of the USJ's attack, it can be seen that the target of the Deadwood is just him alone, but after time has passed fermentation, at this time, the goal of League of Villains has been placed on the hero's society built with him as the core, but he did not timely. Preventing this from happening makes him feel that he has an unshakable responsibility for what is happening right now. I actually enjoyed a half-body bath at home when my classmates were dying to fight. This is all my fault. Depressed and propped up his thin forehead with both hands, the meridians on All Might's forehead can be seen clearly, and the high-raised brow bones make it difficult to see his eyes, but undoubtedly, his emotions at this time are extremely extreme. Lo, I didn't mean to target you, All Might, don't mind. It seemed that I also felt something was wrong with what I said. Ms. Mike added that he was interrupted by Mr. Marksman when he was about to say something. At the moment, it is no longer possible to posture that you will not yield like the sports festival immediately after the attack. The students were kidnapped by the enemy and their life and death are unknown. This is the biggest gaffe since the establishment of Shongying. Villains abducted Bakugo Katsuki, and at the same time it also went to the public's trust to us. What Mike said is what all teachers worry most. From today's news, it can be seen that the media is basically a one-sided criticism of Shongying, and this is also the result of the government's vigorous suppression. Now the parents of Shongying students, a large part of them have gathered to discuss whether to let their children drop out of school. It's probably because Bakugo's performance in the sports meeting was too rough, so he was targeted by villains. If he is instigated by villains, then Shongying as an educational institution will be completely destroyed. The principal showed the newspaper in his hand to everyone, but the other party's first target is not him, but classmate Igarashi. Is there any special meaning here? Hearing what the principal said, All Might was shocked and thought of what Masada had said to him at the time that Alphorone was very interested in his magma quirk. Could it be said that this time is also Allphorone thirsty, still thinking about this quirk? Here is All Might, he thinks too much, he has seen countless quirks of Allphorone. Although he is curious about Masada's quirk, he doesn't have to hold it in his hand. He actually got too many quirks. Unfortunately, he didn't know that Masada's biggest hole card was actually his hidden quirk. It was this magical hidden quirk that made his magma quirk evolve, supporting him step by step to the present. The reason why Masada was targeted this time was mainly because he repeatedly destroyed Shigenmu's plan. Shigenmu was simply unhappy. You must know the order he gave, but Masada must be completely wiped out. Following Mr. Principal's words, the conference room immediately fell into a strange silence. Teacher Mike, who had something to say just now, broke the silence at this moment. Up to now, one thing is certain. Crossing his hands in front of him, the small eyes behind Mike's lenses flashed wisely. There must be AR***** in Shongying. Don't guess wildly, Mike. Hearing Mr. Mike's amazing remarks, Mrs. Midnight hurriedly spoke to stop him. How could I not think about it? Teacher Mike's expression at this time is a bit hideous, and his classmates were taken abducted and it was a big blow to him. The location of the accommodation is only known to pussycats by the teachers at the school. And the suspicious points are not limited to these people, if it is leaked by mobile phones. As far as intelligence is concerned, even students are suspected. It's better to take this opportunity and conduct a thorough investigation. As soon as he finished speaking, the marksman teacher couldn't wait to refute. Can you show evidence that you are 100% innocent? Do you dare to say that everyone who was doing it is innocent? The mutual suspicion of suspicious ghosts can only cause us to fall apart from the inside. In the matter of investigating the insider, we must not act too hastily. Teacher Mike was also speechless for a while. Just like the sharpshooter said, if villains is hidden inside, then this is the most hoped situation to see the decay of a big tree is always from starting internally. If Shongying gave up all by herself, how can we talk about restoring the credibility of society? When everyone looked at each other suspiciously, Mr. Principal stood up. At least I trust the teachers 100%, although I can't prove my innocence. After a pause, the head of Mr. Principal moved quickly. In short, as a school, we must protect the safety of students. As for the internal R******, I have already had some ideas. On the side, let's talk about the list of teachers who will escort students home afterwards. Chapter 192 Yaoyorozu 100 means. I said, what do you want to say to me like a ghost like you? Just now, Jungtae was dragged by Yaoyorozu for a long time, and only stopped when she ran to a place where no students could be seen. He asked with some doubts. I actually left a mark on villains. Looking around carefully, Yaoyorozu whispered against Masada's ear, and said. The breath that was close at hand made Masada's ears a little itchy, but what shocked him even more was the content of Yaoyorozu's Hayek words. Nani, is it that sister spinner and maggot? When did it happen? I didn't find it at all. With his eyes widened, Jung was too incredulous to say that after all, both of them had been severely injured at the beginning, and they all relied on one breath. Most people wouldn't bother to place any marks at all, right? Well, it's the two of them. Yaoyorozu nodded 100, and said with certainty, in fact, it is not a mark left on them, but in my handcuffs, there is a positioning device that can receive special signals. To develop a habit based on the suggestion. At this time, Jungtae somewhat admires Mr. Aizawa. Although he usually looks like a salted fish, his guidance to the students is definitely in place. Give corresponding suggestions. Just like this time, Yaoyorozu's 100 abilities are certainly very powerful in combat, but what can best bloom her quirk is actually in the strategic aspect, and when it comes to strategy, in the current social environment, detection and tracking it is indispensable. After all, in the information age, controlling intelligence is equivalent to controlling everything. Yaoyorozu Bai is now slowly focusing on this aspect. Every night, he is making up the structure of various communication instruments. When it comes to staying together, he can finally create this kind of positioning device that belongs to her alone, but also inadvertently. Great contribution was made in between. That's really a great help. With this, we can find the nest of the League of Villains. But the speed must be fast. After all, God knows if the opponent will throw the handcuffs to other places. He was so excited that he hated the League of Villains. Not only did he stare at him in secret all day, but now he even spreads to the people around him. It can be said that he has touched his taboo. I think let's talk to All Might. It's not good for too many people to know. After all, the students were injured this time. If they knew there was this tracker, they would definitely rush to it desperately. This is also the reason why Yaoyorozu Bai deliberately pulled Shanta here to say. After all, there are many people in the class. If he didn't come out, he was also caught in, making Hero S more difficult to do. Well, I think so too. The League of Villains still has the strength, and their methods are so fierce that they can't be handled by everyone now. Although Masada said so, he seemed to have forgotten that he was also a high school student just like everyone else. Perhaps the long-term strength growth has made his vision not limited to this. And in the meeting room at this time, telephone here it is, the nasty bell rang, making the teachers around him chill. Sorry, I will answer the call. All Might got up from his position, made a rude gesture, opened the door and walked out. Even my own students can't be saved, I am still a symbol of peace. What is the strongest Hero S? At this time, his inner thoughts are very messy. On the one hand, he hates villains, on the other hand, he is worried about Bakugo, and on the other hand is deep self-blame. These three different emotions are mixed together. Let him have mixed flavors. Hey, what can I do, police officer in the mound? The person speaking with All Might was his longtime friend Naozao Tsukauchi. I am taking notes for your 2 Hero S and there are unexpected gains in this investigation. The police have been investigating non-stop since last night, and now they have finally made the latest progress. About 2 weeks ago, our people got such information during a routine investigation. A man with a patched face entered a building that would normally not be able to enter anyway. For flowers, according to eyewitnesses, this person was about 20 years old. After checking the criminal information at hand, no criminals similar to them were found. Then he checked with the owner of the building. He said that there was a hidden bar located inside this building. After a pause, as if he knew All Might's worry in his heart, the police officer in Tsukauchi continued, "Don't worry, I have passed on the message that the building has nothing to do with the investigation, so that the subordinates will not investigate it anymore. And this person's appearance, according to Shangying's testimony, coincides with the villains who participated in this kidnapping. I know that you are on the cusp of the storm, so I will inform you right away, and it is precisely because I dare to tray out this kind of confidential information. This time, maybe we can follow the vine and find the nest of the League of Villains." After the police officer in Maundai finished speaking, there was no response on the other end of the phone for a long time, and only heavy breathing remained. All Might, I have made a good friend. After a long time, All Might took a deep breath, and steam began to erupt from his body. Remember to tell them this for me. I'm here, but also with colors. Just when All Might answered the phone, Masada and Yaoyorozu were also looking for his voice. After all, Yaoyorozu's locator was unstable, so it's better to notify him as soon as possible. How is it, have you received the signal? While running in the corridor, Yaoyorozu made a receiver while sending out a signal to the locator. He is now waiting for a response. Not yet, there is. Located in Kanagawa, Yokohama City, Kanagawa Prefecture. After a period of waiting, the receiver finally received the signal, and this is probably where the League of Villains is now. Well, if this is the case, it is very likely that you will be able to catch villains by surprise. All Might, just thinking about conveying the news to the two of All Might, they saw the person who hung up the phone at a corner and put his hand in his pocket, which made Masada's heart overjoyed. All Might, we have an intelligence to tell you. Long, Chapter 193 The Arrival of Masada Parents. Really, Yaoyorozu 10,000 girls really helped a lot this time. We are worried that we can't find the specific location of villains. After listening to the report of Shanta and Yaoyorozu Bai, All Might, who has turned into a muscular form, showed his iconic smile, so don't hesitate, I will go to the police station now and discuss the plan with the police. I will go with you. Before he finished speaking, All Might was interrupted by Masada. Masada's expression was very serious at this time, and her piercing eyes stared at him unblinkingly. As a student, you have no need or obligation to participate in such a dangerous operation. Unsurprisingly, All Might quickly rejected his request. This time the student's suffering has made him very self-blaming, so it is even more unlikely that Masada will be involved. Although I am a student in the Hero S subjective, 367, and I want to become Hero S. If it is to fight against these criminals, if I use Bakugo, I am willing to give my strength. Besides, All Might, you should be very clear about my strength. Don't forget, the 3 criminals caught this time are all me. Down. Although Masada is not a great person, but in order to persuade the stubborn person in front of him, he had to move out his record. This requires the consent of your parents and the police. All Might was a little moved after hearing Masada's words. He really had no reason to stop a man who hated evil and wanted to save his companions, so he gave a compromise proposal. Ah, no problem. This is already a better result in Masada's heart. As long as All Might is persuaded, the rest of the pressure will be much less. Then Igarashi boy, let's go to the police station now, the police officer in Tsukauchi is already waiting for us. See, Masada agreed. All Might is not wasting time, and decided to set off now. Well, Masada, you really want to go? Yayorozu squeezed her hands on her chest, her expression a little worried. Her original intention was to let Masada contact instead of letting him take risks. Seeing Masada's decision, she couldn't help but feel a little dumbfounded. Don't worry, you still don't know my ability. Turning around, patted Yayorozu's shoulders with his hands heavily, and said with a relaxed smile, you have seen the strength of the League of Villains group. They are not my opponents at all. I don't plan to let them go. The group of people who are staring at me don't care. Moreover, even if I can't beat it, I can still run. I'm not the kind of person who smashes to the bottom. Masada didn't talk to Yayorozu about the Nomu that can eliminate people's quirks. This is also to prevent the girl from worrying too much. After giving the other party a warm hug, Masada got into the car at the urging of All Might and went to the police station. While in the car, Masada also made a phone call with his parents, and did not tell them what he was going to do, but only said that there were some things to discuss. But if you have to discuss it in the police station, there is definitely no good thing. So when the Igarashi and his wife heard the news, they didn't even have time to leave, they hurried over, and in the end they arrived one step earlier than the two of them. Masataka, are you okay? As soon as she got out of the car, Masada was taken upstairs by the rushing mother. Naturally, Igarashi and his wife also saw the morning news. Although they knew through text messages that their son was not in danger, they must still be worried in their hearts. At this time, they were a little excited when they saw that they were two intact. Don't worry, Mom, am I just standing in front of you? I patted my mother's shoulder and said helplessly, but I felt that the shoulder was wet, and there were tears on it. Masada's heart is a bit complicated at this time. The feelings between him and his parents can't be faked. If they know that they are going to fight the League of Villains, what will happen? I thought I could convince my parents before, but now I am a little uncertain. When we first met, I was Igarashi boy's teacher, All Might. After stopping the car, All Might also walked down, bowed to the two of them, and said, although he knows that Masada's parents must know him, self-introduction is also a kind of etiquette. Hello, please advise me a lot when we meet for the first time, thank you for taking care of Masada in school. Masada's mother was already crying at this time, so only Masada's father could respond to All Might. After the two chatted and shook their hands, they walked into the police station. It's really a group of amazing characters. Instead, my mother walked into the conference room in the police station. Masada looked at the people already seated and couldn't help but sigh. In front of him, there are no 2 Hero S Endeavor, number 4 Hero S Best Genist, number 5 Hero S Ekitsute who led him on-site internships, and number 1 beside him. Hero S All Might, it can be said that the top 10 Hero S has come halfway. In addition to these well-known Hero S in the society, All Might's former teacher, Gran Torino, the little old man, was also present. In addition, Mount Lady and Shinwei Jun, 2 familiar Hero S were also sitting on the side. There are a lot of Hero S that you don't know, all gathered in this conference room. Our little Hero S is finally here. The police officer in the mound stood in front of the big screen welcoming a few people. All Might had notified him that Masada would be there before, so he was not particularly surprised. Little Hero S, just what did you do? The words of the police officer in the mound, coupled with the praise of the Hero S around him, made Dad Masada a little confused. Why can his own son make so many professional Hero S admire? Although he knows that his son is very strong, Masada usually doesn't talk to his parents too much about the school situation, so the two actually don't know much about what Masada has done recently. That is, they arrested a few people and did some of their worthy things. Masada looked at the questioning gaze of his parents in 4.8, scratched his head and spoke a little embarrassingly. It is too shameful to say this kind of thing by himself. Haha, you are too modest. If it were not for you, the casualties of the students this time may be far more than the current situation, and you have also saved some social fishing boats, whether it is the USJ incident or the accommodation incident. In Daxia, your performance is very original, and our police internally agree with you very much. Fortunately, the Tsukauchi police officer helped answer Masada's parents' doubts. Endeavor, who had been very optimistic about Masada before, also praised him for his temperament. Yes, you already have the strength of the first-line Hero S. Although you are only a student, you must have the magnanimity that the first-line Hero S has. Say it out loud if you are your own credit. Chapter 194 Strength is King. Masada's parents are already a little confused now, and his son already has the strength of the first-line Hero S. Is this too exaggerated? At this time Masada could only look at the police officer in the mound with a wry smile, he really didn't know what to say. Well, hurry up and start today's content, everyone can't wait. After Masada took her parents to sit down, Officer Tsukauchi began today's topic, about the League of Villains, a criminal organization. We already have key information. According to the investigation, their current base is an underground bar. Our police have made careful arrangements for them and are preparing to arrest them in the near future. That, I have something to say. All Might raised his hand to interrupt the police officer in the mound, and the other party also gestured to him to speak. Actually, Wei Xiangying has mastered another stronghold of villains, and this may be where the League of Villains is currently staying. The voice just came out, and the audience was shocked. Everyone thought that the League of Villains had a bar stronghold already very good, but they did not expect there to be another site. Where is it? Has this information been confirmed? Even Endeavor, who didn't deal with All Might, asked anxiously. After all, his son Shoto Todoroki was also attacked by the League of Villains, so his hatred for the League of Villains is no worse than others. It was found using the positioning device placed on villains. Before All Might could answer, Masato interrupted and said that he didn't want Yaoyorozu Bai to be exposed to so many people. Just as the previous Xiangying internal meeting said, there might be someone from the other side here. The location is in Kano Ward, Yokohama City, Kanagawa Prefecture. I don't know how far it is from this bar. After listening to Mrs. Sukachi's words, Officer Sukauchi nodded. The bar we investigated is also in Yokohama. In other words, Villains is likely to have multiple secret bases. After investigation by our police, it has been found out. Where are the abductees trapped now? If this is the case, we will position our primary goal with the rescue of Bakugo classmates, concentrate our main combat forces, strive for a successful blow, and at the same time suppress other locations that may be the villains' base, completely cut off their back path, and villains are all caught in one go. The rescue of students is indeed a very important thing, but what does this have to do with us? After listening to the words of the police officer in the mound, Masato's parents also learned about the actions of the police, but they are still at a loss as to what to discuss with them. After all, the two are not professional heroes. I don't have much contact with things. After looking at each other with all might, Jung was too bitter and said. In fact, I also want to participate in this rescue operation. What? No, you are not allowed to go. Like all mothers in the world, Mrs. Igarashi was the first to disagree when she heard that her son was going to take risks. Isn't there a professional hero and a policeman? What are you going to mix with as a student? This attack is already so dangerous. If you go to the base camp of villains, it will definitely be even more dangerous. Mrs. Igarashi, who also wanted to persuade the wife, was suddenly pulled by her father. Well, you first listen to the child's thoughts. Masato's father was unexpectedly calm at this time, and it seemed that Masato wanted to participate in this operation. As your father, I personally don't want you to take risks, but indeed, since you are going to become heroes, you must have your own opinions. This time I leave the choice to you, and you decide for yourself. Quote, the meeting room suddenly fell into silence. Everyone, including All Might, was watching Masato quietly, waiting for him to make a choice. Gratefully glanced at his father, his usually reticent dad, who was unexpectedly reliable at a critical moment. Masato pouted his mouth and said with a smile, this time I really want to participate in the rescue operation with everyone. Not only because I want to save my classmates, but also because I want to get rid of the malignant tumor of the League of Villains Society. Hearing Masato's words, Officer Sukauchi heaved a sigh of relief. In fact, he did not want to involve a high school student, but due to the particularity of this operation, Xiangying's combat power could hardly be dispatched, and the enemy's strength is unknown. On the one hand, it is natural to hope that the more combat power of one's own side, the better. From Mr. Aizawa Shota, he has already learned about Shota's true combat effectiveness. When Aizawa-sensei said simply that Shota's strength had surpassed him, the police officer Sukauchi was shocked. The hero's name of Eraser, although not particularly well known in the eyes of the public, is well known for him in the police system. As a professional hero, Mr. Aizawa has captured countless criminals, even if his strength is also top-notch in all of Japan. If he speaks from his mouth, it means that Shanta does have this strength. Don't worry, I will also go with this operation. I will not let Igarashi boy suffer any harm at that time. All Might also patted his chest to assure Masato's parents that with this guarantee of symbol of peace, the faces of the two of them have also improved. However, some people's faces are not 367 too good. Seeing so many people around Masato alone, a professional hero feels unbalanced in an instant. This is really ridiculous. To let an underage kid participate in this kind of action, does he have a temporary license? If anything dangerous is done, who will be responsible? A person who Masato didn't know, maybe he was not well known, yelled immediately, and his words were approved by the same group of people who were not valued. Humph. The old god was sitting on the stool in Endeavor. Hearing more and more words like this, the beard made of flames curled up. Shut up. Judging from the performance of Igarashi in recent times, you add up. Not his opponent. I am responsible for what happened to him. Endeavor, as a jagged hero has great majesty even in the professional hero When he opened his mouth, the person who called the device instantly stopped talking. As Zhao Dong's father, although the relationship between the two is not very good, it has always eased, and the things they usually talk about can only be things in the school, so from the mouth of Boom, Endeavor is still I learned a lot about Masato, and I was amazed at his progress. Although his words are a bit too cold, in this hero-s society, this is an unspoken rule that everyone defaults to, strength is king. Chapter 195 You are too weak. Only by having more power than others, O can receive more commissions, and then have greater popularity, so as to form a virtuous circle. Otherwise, why should others entrust things to you? At the same price, they must choose a more powerful hero's firm. Why All Might can become the most famous hero in society, because of his unmatched strength. Of course, this condition was also applicable to Masada. After such a disturbance, the atmosphere became rigid. After the police officer in the mound confessed some more things, Masada took his parents and left the police station first. I didn't rush back to school first, because it's not too early now. When I returned to school, it was estimated that it would be over soon, so Masada went home directly. As soon as he got home, Masada took a good shower. He just wiped the blood on his body hastily this morning, and he was still covered in dust. I took a good hot bath and relaxed my body. Masada changed into clean clothes and sat at the dinner table waiting for dinner. Not long after, Cha-Cha also came back from school, and with her was the teacher Ghost Ethereal, and Yaoyorozu was also escorted back to her home by another teacher. After all, her parents were also very worried about her baby daughter. Although he repeatedly kept the ghost teacher Kongoling to stay for a meal, because Shongying has had too many things recently, and he still has various trivial matters, after confirming the safety of Masada, he hurriedly left. At the dinner table, the atmosphere was a little depressing. Masada's mother is still a little worried and dissatisfied with his behavior. Under the influence of this emotion, naturally she will not have any good expressions, and directly aimed at Masada's father. At this time, Father Masada would naturally not work against her, and could only smile bitterly. Cha-Cha is a bit curious about the situation here, because the atmosphere at home is very harmonious. But she didn't ask too much. After so many days of getting along, she believed that if she wanted to let herself know, she would take the initiative to say it. After dinner, Masada took the initiative to ask Ying to clean up the dishes and chopsticks. Just about to talk to Cha-Cha about what happened this afternoon, suddenly the phone rang. Is there time now? I want to talk to you, in the coffee shop downstairs in your house. Quote, at first glance, it turned out to be a blasting text message, and it seemed to have been waiting downstairs. Others were so sincere, of course they couldn't hang him like that. After talking to his parents, Jungma went downstairs with TNT. He had a hunch that what he said must also be related to the League of Villains, so fortunately, he went with TNT. Here, as soon as I opened the door of the coffee shop, a familiar shout came from the corner of the coffee shop. At first glance, although the face was blocked by the card seat, the very quirk green hair was exposed. The identity of the voice master. Green Valley, Kirishima, Iida, why are you here? To Masada's expectation, in addition to the bombing accident, 3 other classmates came here. Masada thought there was only one person. LVGU, you don't want to cultivate well, why are you running out to do? Are you afraid that the recovery girl will teach you? Looking at Lugu's arm still tied with a thick bandage, Masada said with some blame. Lugu's injury was the most serious among all Shongying's classmates, because he suffered multiple serious injuries in a short period of time, and this battle with the muscular man made his previous injuries worse. According to the doctor, he had tolerated the limits his body could not bear for a long time, causing serious damage to his skeletal muscles. But the most frightening thing was that his ligaments had cracked in his eyes. Although he has been treated by the recovery girl, if he is suffering 2 or 3 injuries of this degree, I am afraid that his arm will say goodbye to him. Hearing Masada's question, Lugu was a little embarrassed. It seemed that he wanted to rub his nose habitually. However, this action involved the wound, causing his facial expression to be distorted again. Go ahead, what do you want to talk to me? After sitting down with Cha-Cha, he ordered twice the normal drink, and Masada asked, because it is very likely that the action will be launched tomorrow. He doesn't want to suffer from insomnia tonight because of coffee. With his hands on his head and his eyes piercing, Bang said with a certain tone, the police have determined the location of Bakugo, right? Ah, yes, as expected, Masada had a careless expression on her face, and admitted it frankly. What? It turned out to be true. Who knows? After hearing the fact that Jung Tai said generously, the 4 people on the opposite side of the table were surprised. Bang originally was also speculated from the incident that his father was suddenly called by the police. Just now I also wanted to defraud Masada, but I didn't expect it to be guessed by myself. So, can you tell us the location? We also want to save Xiao Shang. At this time, Lu Jiyu could no longer care about the pain in his arm. He patted the table with both hands and said anxiously that for his childhood sweetheart, perhaps the most worried person among those present was him. Well, it seems that you also found something from my absence from school in the afternoon. Masada disappeared in the school afternoon, and the one who disappeared with him was All Might. With his clever brain, several people also guessed something. Yes, I do know where Bakugo is now, but I'm sorry, maybe I can't let you participate. Good Wang Zhao. Although he understood the students' anxious mood very well, Masada refused them mercilessly. Just as you thought, I went to the police station with All Might in the afternoon. The rescue operation of Bakugo is not something you can participate in. The dangers of villains are probably far from what you can compare with this stay. Quote, after taking a sip of the juice, Masada explained to everyone, and at this time Cha-Cha also understood with hindsight. She originally thought that Masada was going to heal her injury. Why not? Our combat power is also very strong. We can also contribute to this action. Kirishima was also full of anger at this time, apparently not very satisfied with Masada's answer. Shaking the straw, stirring the juice out of ripples, Jungtai raised his head. Why, it's very simple, your strength is too weak. Chapter 196 Masada's Strategy. Hey, you guy, do you want to fight? Hearing the words of Mrs. Kirishima, Kirishima's anger came up on the ground, stood up, patted the table and shouted, causing everyone to become the focus of the coffee shop. Okay, sit down first and listen to what Masada has to say. Ida's expression was rather calm, and Kirishima, who was already about to rush up, was pulled back and pressed on the stool. He is actually not very optimistic about the actions of Heng and others. He has always been a good student. Compared with the easily impulsive Green Valley and Kirishima, he is more mature or more conservative. He opposed several people's proposals at the beginning, but because Lubu and Hong rescued him in the Hero's assassin incident, and experienced so many things together, he is really uneasy. In his opinion, the actions of several people are repeating his retreat in Bozu City. Boom also stared at Masada without blinking. Seeing his appearance, it is estimated that if Masada didn't tell me, it would be difficult to get out of this coffee shop safely today. The atmosphere suddenly became serious because of Masada's words. Even the people who ate melon tea were inexplicably nervous, looking at some of the two sides who were arrogant, a little at a loss. In this way, under the glaring of Boom and Kirishima, Jung 370 was too calm and worried about Cha-Cha, and there was silence for a moment. For a long time, Masada put down the cup in his hand. To tell you the truth, in the afternoon, the police have agreed to help them participate in this matter. I personally cannot do this. The news shocked everyone again, and Kirishima was even more impatient. What, why can't you go to us? We are also worried about Bakugo. Are we all friends? Can you beat me together? Ignoring the emotional Kirishima, Shotomaki said coldly with his eyes booming. Hearing the unkind words of Masada, everyone was speechless. To be honest, Hung and Kirishima really don't have this confidence, especially Hung. They have seen Masada's real fighting power when they stayed together, and there is a deep sense of powerlessness in their hearts. Just let me become one of the rescuers of Bakugo. The police and Heroes have already taken a lot of pressure and risks. If you are also involved and known to the outside media, can you imagine the fishing boat storm caused by this? Needless to say, it is the proponent of this plan, All Might and Tsukauchi police officer, will become the target of the society. These words are not unfounded, and the few people on the other side are also clear in their hearts. Just because of the attack on the hostel, the media have already turned their heads at Shongying. If the students have 3 shortcomings during this rescue operation, the problem will be out of control. Midori and Kirishima's face faded in an instant, and they lowered their heads unwillingly and bit their lips tightly. The reason why he came to find Masada with Hung was to persuade the strongest in the class to rescue Bakugo together. Boom was also somewhat unable to accept this fact. He tried every means to achieve the goal, but he did not expect that Masada had already obtained the permission to rescue, which made him feel that he was completely useless. But, just when several people were ready to give up this matter and went back to their homes, Masada's words pulled them back. But what? You just say it quickly, don't hang your appetite. Kirishima now loves and hates Masada. He loves Masada as if there is another way to get a few people to participate in this matter. What he hates is the appearance of the old god of Masada, which makes people really look at it. Want to hit him? I suggest that you can find Boom's father. After all, there will be a lot of logistics personnel in this operation. As long as you get in, you will have the opportunity to participate in the front line at that time. Masada's words seemed to open a new door for a few people. That's right, instead of sneaking out on your own, why not participate in it openly? Anyway, it's just a logistic position, and it won't be too dangerous. I must use endeavor. The energy can be easily obtained. What you want to do later depends on the courage of a few people. As long as you are not afraid of punishment afterwards, then rescuing Bakugo is not a dream at all. About when will you act? Now that there is a plan, several people can't wait to take action. At this time, Green Valley is already asking the police about the time for action. I have nothing to say about this, and the police didn't notify me, so you should go to Endeavor. Asking him is more reliable than asking me. With his hands spread out, Masada said that he could do nothing. After drank the drink, he took the tea home with him. Although I don't know the exact time, I think the police will act in the near future, maybe it will be tomorrow. Although this society is built with Heroes as its core, Masada does not underestimate the police, the country's violent agency. The League of Villains is now so exposed. If the police do not act, it would be an expression of incompetence. N.S. After returning home, Masada emptied her body and lay on the chuang, looking at the ceiling, muttering to herself. Will you appear this time all for own? I can't wait to find you to settle the bill. Unlike others, Masada knows the relationship between League of Villains and ALLFORONE. This time even All Might has been dispatched. As his biggest enemy, ALLFORONE has no reason to remain indifferent. Early the next morning, at the urging of All Might's call, Masada took the Shinkansen with him to the police station in Kano district. After all, the base camp of the League of Villains is here, so the police also temporarily arrange here as a special operation bureau, so that they can better allocate resources and release operations. Yo, you are here. As soon as he entered the gate, the police officer in the mound waved to the two of them. Masada looked a little wilted at him, his eyes were bloodshot, and he had dark circles under his eyes. I was afraid that he hadn't rested at all last night. and the entire police station is busy, with various voices one after another. It seems that the police have worked hard on this action. Huh, you really are here. When passing by the logistics department, Masada saw several familiar figures, namely, Hu, Midori, Kirishima, and Iida. Yes, we rushed over without stopping last night. Bang Jung was wearing a uniform dedicated to the logistics department. Hearing Masada's voice, and looking back at him, he explained the situation to his father last night, and Endeavor did not know what kind of mentality, but agreed with him simply and neatly. Request. Chapter 197 Special Operations Team. It just so happens, since you are all here, then I will tell you first. Seeing a few people gathered together to talk, the police officer in the mound stopped and said, "What's matter?" Masada is a little puzzled. Could it be that the police temporarily changed their mind and decided not to let themselves and others participate? In fact, this is what Endeavor meant. Since you have played against the League of Villains many times and have a certain understanding of villains, we decided to let you form a special operations team. Huh, special operations team, does that mean there is no need for logistics? Great. Kirishima immediately became excited when he heard it. He was already going to rescue Bakugo at the risk of being punished, but now it seems that things are going to turn around. Don't get excited. Although it is a special operations team with great freedom of movement, you still have to obey the command. Looking at Kirishima, who was yelling, and even though he didn't speak, but his eyes clearly flashed with light, the police officer sighed helplessly. After all, he was just a student. The captain of the action team is classmate Igarashi, who is responsible for all your actions, and if something happens, the responsibility is entirely borne by Igarashi's fellow students. There was still a hot atmosphere just now, and it instantly cooled down. Listening to the police officer in the mound, Masada can be said to have taken a lot of pressure. Ah, that couldn't be better. Don't worry, I will watch them. Masada didn't have any opinions, and she agreed with her mouth. He knew the strength of the few people. It is not a problem to encounter ordinary chaos, and if they encounter a powerful villains that they can't solve, don't they still have their own? You have a lot of freedom of movement. It is up to Igarashi to decide whether you want to fight villains or assist the police at that time. However, the first thing you need to do is to ensure your safety. This is also the bottom line of the police, and safety is the top priority. After the police officer in the mound had finished speaking, he took All Might and took a step forward, leaving behind a few people who were silent. That, Captain Igarashi. In the end, it was Kirishima who broke the silence and shouted tentatively. Don't give me this one. You can call it whatever you want, but you have to be honest with me when you act. After hearing Kirishima's somewhat smiling voice, Jung couldn't help laughing and cursing, which also opened everyone's conversation. Unexpectedly, the police would give us such a big preferential treatment. This time, Xiaosheng will definitely be rescued. Midoriya clenched his fists. He didn't sleep well last night, and his mind was full of Bakugo being abused. Although I don't understand the police's intentions, as the Tsukauchi police officer said, we must pay attention to safety issues. Especially you Kirishima, you can't act on your own. Among the few people, Masada is most worried about Kirishima. This idiot who is easy to get hot, can do anything under impulse. I see, Captain Igarashi. With his feet closed, Kirishima straightened his body and saluted Jungtae, which made him scold again. Endeavor, why did you make such a decision? Just when a few people were excited, a different scene was staged on the other side. All Might was standing in front of Endeavor at this time, with a face full of disbelief. In his impression, Endeavor had always been a calm and indifferent person. What prompted him to form this special operations team? HMPH, don't you understand? Endeavor did not mean anything in the face of All Might, and the Flamebeard turned his words back. Igarashi is already fully qualified for the professional hero S. Originally I thought he could only achieve this aspect with strength, but from the point of view of this combination, his character is already qualified. What he lacks now is just a proof, and he still has experience. For Masada, a student who was more inspired than All Might, Endeavor appreciates this spirit, so in this action, he also spared no effort to bring him some growth, because in the current situation where evil is constantly growing, the new generation grows. Extremely important. Of course, perhaps it is also with the idea of training Hung. Hung's strength has obviously been greatly improved after entering Shangdiang, and this is the benefit of competition. All Might is speechless. He is becoming more and more incapable. He is also eager to hope that someone can grow up to carry his beam. Lugu is currently not qualified, and Masada is indeed the best choice. It is a good thing. For flowers, protect yourself, Igarashi boy. At this point, All Might can only hope for Masada himself, but he is not too worried. For Masada, the threat may be ALLFORONE, but his opponent is himself. Several people stayed in the police station until the evening, during which they also participated in several meetings about the operation. The special operations team, which had been set up, had been evaluated several times afterwards, which made Masada and the others a little painful, but they could only endure it temporarily. The reason for this situation is that there are a lot of Visions and Hero S put forward opinions. There were a lot of Hero S mobilized in this operation, and many unknown Hero S also appeared in the police station, and their task was to evacuate residents at the task site and rescue logistics. 0. Obviously they are already professional Hero S and they can only do such inconspicuous work. However, a few students who are still in the first year of high school have formed a unique, special operation, in the whole operation, team. The psychology called Jealousy broke out in an instant, and various remarks were used towards Masada, such as, "Still a student, no proof, action too dangerous." Among them, some people didn't understand the strength of Masada and others, and the opinions put forward sincerely, while some people were purely messing around. When they were students, they were able to participate in such a major event, and their future is bound to be limitless and a smooth journey. However, look at yourself. After graduating from school, you have to start at the bottom of the hero's office. After a few years of hard work, you can follow the mission together. It has gone through all the hardships to get to this position. Comparing the two, my heart is instantly imbalanced. However, this kind of remarks disappeared under Endeavor's toughness, and All Might did not object to it, which made the group of unbalanced guys directly turned into beaming clowns. As time passed, the sun had disappeared in the sky, and replaced by a bright moon. The pale moonlight swayed freely on the ground, which made people feel a little nervous. Just tonight, the rescue of Bakugo and the League of Villains Encirclement and Suppression Operation officially started. Chapter 198 Operation of Public Opinion. The five Masada were staying in the lobby of the police station at this time, waiting for the start of the operation. At this time, the screen in the lobby was playing a live broadcast of the press conference of Shongying High School's apology. When they saw something related to them, several people immediately focused their attention. The representatives sent by Shongying are the principal of Mr. Principal, Aizawa Shota and Brad King, who are the class teachers of Class A and Class B. Usually they are familiar with the sloppy, negative face of Aizawa-sensei. At this moment, he combed his messy hair neatly, and he was also wearing a very formal suit. His eyes were also very good, sharp. Is this really Mr. Aizawa? I really want to take a video to take home and collect it. Seeing the figure on the screen, Kirishima almost didn't recognize it for a while, covering her mouth to hold back her smile. Masada's expression, 370, is full of solemnity. This press conference is probably a fishing challenge for Shongying, and it is not easy to cope with. Sure enough, as soon as the press conference began, the principal, Mr. Principal, and the two head teachers stood up and bowed deeply to everyone in front of the screen. This was to apologize to everyone for the staying together incident. However, the three people's sincere apology, on the contrary, made the following media, which was already ready to move, even more excited. As far as I know, Shongying students have been in contact with villains several times this year. Before this incident, what kind of explanations did your school give to the parents of each student? What about the countermeasures? In addition, in this incident, I heard that the teacher encouraged students to join the battle, especially a racer, so please talk about your intention to do so. What are these reporters talking nonsense, so they all talk about Shongying like bad guys? Lugu sighed, very entangled. The situation in front of everyone did not want to see. Obviously the teachers had done their best to protect them, but could not bear the more villains, and the location was scattered. If not at that time, if you allow your classmates to fight, the situation will only get worse. Fortunately, in the face of these tricky and mysterious questions from reporters, the principal, Mr. Principal, and the two teachers also responded very sincerely and constantly apologized, so that everyone who was watching the live broadcast would not treat Shongying. The impression is worse, but this does not satisfy the reporters. The top universities in the country suffered such a big blow. This kind of thing does not happen every year, and they certainly cannot let it go. More and more problems are secretly discrediting Shongying. Faced with reporters who are like tides, even if Mr. Principal and the teacher explain, they can't beat the professional reporters who rely on words to eat. This also makes the faces of Masada and others even more ugly. Stand up. It's just a nonsense. Who do they think is the person who protects them? Now they are trying to discredit Shongying. Could it be that they want to make villains laugh more happily? Kirishima took a sharp breath, stood up and vented loudly, and immediately attracted the attention of everyone in the hall. Seeing the shocked expressions of the people around him, she hurriedly pulled him back and hugged the people around him. Apology. Sorry, I'm so excited. Kirishima also realized that his behavior just now was a bit extreme, and quickly apologized to Masada. Shaking his hand, Masada said that he didn't care about this. You may be right. There may be people from villains in the reporter who are lying in ambush. The power of villains is far greater than you think. It's bigger. What? Hearing Mr. Masada's words, even Iida, who had been expressionless, cried out in shock. Think about it, but only the teacher knows where we are staying this time. Even we didn't know it until the last minute. Why can the League of Villains find the location so accurately and launch an attack? Seeing the expressions of the people, he was too speechless when he said that. He thought everyone understood the matter in his heart, but he didn't point it out. Now it seems that he was thinking wrong. In other words, is there AR? After calming down, he pondered what Masada said, and he also understood what he wanted to express. At first, he felt that the attack was faintly wrong, but he has never thought about it. Now that Masada said that, he also immediately thought of this possibility. No, the teachers are all professional heroes and everyone has been getting along for almost a year. How could there be AR? Lugu attaches great importance to the feelings between his classmates and is very grateful to the teacher who has always thought about himself, so I can't believe Masada's words at all. Don't worry, this is just a suspicion, and there is also the possibility that villains happen to discover it. Masada explained to him, and we also arrested a few villains. Maybe the police have already asked them something. The current interrogation is different from before. No matter how hard your mouth is, you don't take torture at all, and it can't stop the Hero S who has hypnosis or can probe the quirk of other people's hearts, and Hero S who has this expertise. The relationship with the police has always been very good. At the same time, Deadwood, who did not know where he was and was already known by the police, was also watching the live broadcast in his small bar. It's incredible. Shigaraki cocked Jiro's legs, leaning comfortably on the bar, and said to the tightly bound Bakugo. Pointing to the three people who kept apologizing on the TV screen, Shigeki happily said, Why are they condemned? The Hero S seemed to have done nothing wrong, right? Not just as the response method a bit worse. Do these guys think that Hero S are all saints? Hero S must always be perfect. Bakugo hadn't spoken yet, but Spinner had spoken first. I don't know what method the League of Villains used. He was dying by Masada's 4.8, but he was already able to walk down the ground at this time. Although he still looks very weak, it is already very powerful and perhaps also uses genes. The power of technology. When the act of protecting others is linked to interests, Hero S is no longer Hero S. As an avid fan of the Hero S killer, Spinner not only imitated him in dressing, but also inherited Stain perfectly in thought. Hey, don't interrupt me. Shigemu was a little unhappy with Spinner's interruption, which made him feel like he was losing face. Is the current society really correct? Our goal is to let people use their brains to think about these issues, so I think we have won. Look at tomorrow's news. Hero S will usher in destruction in my hands.